Okay, it's been a while since I've done this, so I'm getting everything sorted out. Was that Mike? Is that you? Oh, you heard the music. Okay. Yeah, I need to get used to this again. I guess it's the best way of saying it. Hello, Shadowcat. Hello, Beepus. Hello, Fantron. Everyone coming in very quickly at the same time. And the old school MikeMoneyGMR, of course. What is good with all of you? Especially since after you were in the voice chat for this thing anyway. Yeah, if you couldn't tell, Mike is in this. Go ahead, Mike. I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah. Well, I found out because I loaded up the game. Oh, you guys can't hear Mike? Really? Let me see how maybe this has to be changed. Let me look at this. Great, Mike did this whole like little thing. None of you heard him. Well, yeah, Mike, it's practice. Okay, I don't know. These things are all weird. Let me see if we can fix this. Desktop Discord call. So now you should hear Mike. Talk a little bit, Mike.
Oh, yeah. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me now?
Like the old school commercials.
Right. Hope you
I
all
need
are
to turn
doing
this off.
great if you can.
Okay. All right. Take two, Mike. Go ahead now.
Hi, Beepus.
Yeah, Mike had said some stuff. Whatever. Basically, he says hi to you all. He's not going to do the same thing again. So we have a lot to talk about. I'm just being quiet right now because I'm making sure I don't have anything else here. It's going to be screwed up.
Right.
Before we go into this further, because obviously, it was funny. I looked at this, I'm like, oh, everything looks like it's good, and apparently it wasn't. So, in case anything else catches me by surprise, I'm trying to get ahead of that. That looks good, though. I think it should be fine. What else could go wrong? That's the question you should definitely ask ahead of that.
Right.
Oh, the game might have crashed. Well, I guess there's that too. I have to bring up the game again. I just had to say that. I didn't plan that. I hadn't realized it crashed in the background. Alright, we'll just wait for the game to load up again. This is kind of typical though. This always happens. I don't know how everything is meshing together with the volume. You guys have to let me know if I'm sounding alright, if Mike sounds even with my volume. I'm just gonna cut off this music right now, that way we can focus on that, because that might be distracting. There we go. Oh. Alright, well, the game was up for a second, then it crashed again. I really shouldn't have said that thing about what else could go wrong, should I?
Yeah.
That was like asking for it. I don't know what came over me. Alright, you know what they say, the third time's a charm. I might see if I could turn off the, I put on the frame rate display for someone who wanted to check it out last time. I might have to turn that off. Maybe that's causing some issue. It worked last time, but maybe this time it's being disagreeable. Alright, continue game. Yep, we saw the game's updated now. Hopefully everything will be fine with that. Seems to be loading in now. Alright, hold on. Just make sure this is actually
So how
gonna
long
work.
do you think until A21 comes out, because like they're making it sound like it's going to come out very soon, and that's going to ruin our map, and that's going to be sad.
All right, yeah. Yeah, I'll start the recording, even though I don't really upload these anyway, but... So let's start talking about the game, and, well, I guess everything going on this last week or so, since we kind of skipped out on last week's stream. Yeah, machine, you don't have to complain about system failures and all that. I have to invite my friends. So I got Mike here. Got Shadowcat. And,
One time I don't have the game actually
there we
up.
go. Oh, whatever. You'll get in the game. Alright, so many things to talk about. Alright, since Mike talked about the game, first of all, we'll get to that. So, hello everyone. Obviously, we're in 7 Days to Die yet again. Mike did bring up a point that we have version number 20, Alpha 21, approaching soon. Recently, I guess they updated to 20.7 from 20.6. I didn't know it was going to happen, but it seems like it hasn't affected anything so far, which is good. Seems like everything's running fine, at least from just the very first look at things. But with the 21 looming, I guess we do have a decision to make, because we could... There's a way to manually keep your game on an older version of the game and play that. Or we could be like, well, maybe we've done everything we wanted in this world and we can go ahead and start playing 21 when it comes out. Since, I mean, we pretty much have done, I guess, 95% of the things you could do in this. Like, there's a few things we haven't done yet. We haven't made the truck. There's like a couple of recipes I haven't gotten yet, but I mean, that's not particularly important. What are your thoughts on that, Mike?
Like when A21 comes out and all that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can make a truck, Shadowcat. That's correct.
Hang on a second. My game didn't load, so I'm gonna do something real quick just to.
Okay, I'll stall then, I guess.
It. But yeah, I mean, from what you've mentioned about some of the things you've heard rumors of and stuff, I'm like, ooh, I don't know what's gonna happen when A21 comes out. I mean,
Yeah, there are a few weird ideas we're
hush,
talking
hush.
about.
Yeah, they've been such hush hush about it that it's like, I don't know.
I think. Oh yeah, Shadowcat's loading into the game. I'll add you to the party, Shadowcat. Welcome back. I think what I'm tempted to do, at least for now, is to kind of keep going with this. And then kind of, maybe I'll test out version number 21 on my own for like a little bit in like a little test single player run of the game. Oh, that's right. You already have the cigar, Shadowcat, in your character's mouth. We were talking about the significance of the date. And we were talking about like, what? Oh, you're very infected? All right, well, you should probably take some of the medication. There's a bunch that we should have in these different chests here. Yeah, so I was saying the cigar, you can pretend that it has something else in it if you want to celebrate the day like that.
Like how Shadow had no problem getting their game to work while mine had trouble. Always the way.
Yeah. Did your game update, Mike?
It updated, but then it just didn't load immediately, so I was like, let me just run something, just to check,
Okay. I need to refill the generator, I think. Let me do that. The discount Santa with abs. I like that.
Right.
I wonder if they'll change up the kind of characters you can make in the new one. Yeah, don't I have fuel with me? Oh, I was clicking the wrong button. Well, that would do it. Wait, is that damaged? Oh, no. Just look at the tiles. Well, yeah, I was gonna say, I haven't really looked into the update too much about what it's supposed to be doing. But I think I did see some videos on YouTube that, had stuff about it in the description or in the thumbnail of the video anyway. And it sounded like they were doing something new with the console. So is there a new console version coming out when they do version number 2021?
I heard they wanted to. I don't know if they ever actually got around to getting someone to do it, though.
Because someone's
'Cause
video
I know,
title mentioned it, I think. That, like, something about
yeah,
new console version. Well, that'll be interesting. We always had a couple of people who would come in and kind of ask about that. And I'd always have to be like, well, yeah, there's not really too much you can do.
yeah, like the info for it was like so vague and all that because like it was mostly stuff like, oh yeah, it's gonna happen. Don't worry, it'll like there'll be stuff, and it's like, really though, like hey Nano.
Yeah, I was waiting. Hey, now, try to start things going with you. Good to
But
see
yeah,
you
like
here again.
it's pretty
Oh, Mike's gotten robotic.
vague little things about. Oh wait a second.
Nah, the funny thing is it evened out by the time that I already said that.
Oh okay.
It's just for a
But
second.
yeah, like people are so vague about the console version that I don't even know if they're gonna actually change anything with it or just eventually just stick to one version or whatever.
Yeah, and we try to do our best to keep things organized. Since we have so many items, it's required putting in a lot of chests. I put in some extra chests. I think I unlocked all of them. So, there's a bunch of extra to eventually kind of sort through. And maybe use for extra things that we have. If I remember correctly. Oh, I have more points to put in things? Okay, I didn't even realize that. So I'll make sure I have all my things modded correctly. Oh yeah, they're all pretty good. But yeah, thank you, Nanochites. I'm usually not that good at that stuff. Thankfully, we have people here that tend to help out, like Shadowcat. And if you haven't been on the streams lately, I don't know when the last one you were at was. We've done quite a few things with the base to add on to it since we started out. It's changed quite a bit. I think we've worked on this base a lot more than we did with the older one that we had in the last save file. I'm doing pretty good. I don't know. How are you guys? Have you guys been enjoying life this past week or two?
Huh? I've been actually enjoying life pretty good. I had to help out in one of the busier areas at work, but other than that, it wasn't too bad. I mean, it's always like more entertaining when you have a bunch of people complaining about it with you instead of just one. Yeah. And I say like, the old saying, misery loves company. Like,
Oh yeah.
it really does fit that a little bit where it's like, less upset about it, I guess, for lack of a better word. Like, it's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, it could be worse.
Well, it always does feel good to have someone to vent to and people who kind of shared in the experience of that sort of thing. I think that's true no matter what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a couple of things that I've done over this last week or two, and I'll mention, I guess, why. And hello about your inputs. It's good to see you as well. Wanted to make sure I took care of that before I got into a long story. But yeah, the last week I was very busy, and that's why we didn't do 7 Days to Die last week. Starting off with, was it Monday? Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, before that was, this goes all the way back to Easter, so that was April 9th, because I remember that because it was also my birthday at the same point. And
All right, cool.
so like we went out to eat for Easter. I was with my family, my aunt and my cousin. Her kids were there. So we were all hanging out. They went back to her place for a little while, my aunt's house. And it was nice. They had a little thing for me as well since it was my birthday. And it was cool getting to see all the kids. And what we ended up deciding was we went that following Monday, so the next day. And my cousin was taking her kids to see the new Mario movie. And I ended up going along with them to check that out. Because, I was kind of curious how it was going to turn out. And, I like hanging out with them. So we went there, and they actually did end up seeing the movie in that 4D thing that I think it was Shadowcat who mentioned as well, where
Yeah.
they do this weird. I don't. Do you know what it is, Mike? Have you heard about that? I think maybe I mentioned it to you last time because I think I talked to you a little bit about it.
So it's like, I didn't actually go and watch that version of it, but it's like similar to like a 3D type of experience.
Yeah, you have the
But they
3D
call it
glasses for
4D
that,
or whatever. Yeah.
and what they do is like they
Maybe next time.
your seat will actually like
Travel
move
smile.
around and it'll like jerk around as things are going on in the movie. And they also have like things that like blow air at you and like spray you with water every now and then. Like that actually didn't happen too much, the water thing, but I guess during certain movies it'll happen more often. So it's sort of like this thing that they had in like certain amusement parks, like back in I want to say it was like Universal Studios or something. They had something like that where there was a theater where you'd go and they would like do that sort of thing. Oh, they have bubbles and scents too. Yeah, I guess they might. You know, at one point they did have something like come down, which was supposed to be like ash or snow, I think. I kind of forgot about that until you reminded me. So thanks, Shadowcat. And I think they may have had scents at some point, but I don't really have like the best sense of smell. So I didn't really notice that too much. But the whole thing with like them moving around your seat, I didn't really care for. My cousin at one point in the very beginning is like, if I have to leave, just like watch the kids during the movie for me. Because she didn't actually know if she was going to be able to make it, because I guess her stomach gets a little bit more upset easily than most people. But she actually did stick around for the whole thing, so I guess it got easier as it went on. At least for her. Yeah, I guess they had that for Shrek as well. Or there's a ride called Shrek 4D somewhere. Yeah, so I guess they do that in movie theaters now. I wasn't really aware of it, but apparently that's a thing. They said they actually saw like one other movie like that at some point as well. I don't remember which one they said. But in general, yeah, I don't really care for the whole 4D thing after experiencing it once. I think I just kind of prefer seeing the movie just regularly without all that special jazz and all that.
I mean, I get the appeal of it. Like, I'll give my little 2 cents here. I love like the appeal of like 3D, 4D, and all that good stuff. Like, I remember when I was younger, I used to enjoy those little like rides that they had, and you know, the little cool effects of making your seat move and all that. But you know, now I'm just kind of like, you know, it's fun a few more. But,
Well, it's funny
like,
because I had all the popular 3D movies kind of like coming out around 10 years ago, and it started with the Avatar movie back in like 2010 or whatever it was supposed to be. And then I think I maybe saw a few of the 3D movies after that, but then I really didn't care for the 3D that much. And it seemed like they kind of went away for a while, but now they've brought them back, I guess, with this whole 4D experience thing. Anyway, yeah, I'm not really like looking forward to seeing movies like that again in 4D. But the movie itself I liked quite a bit, the whole Mario movie. It was very enjoyable. And now you've seen it too, right, Mike? What did you think?
yes. Yeah, I went and saw it this week actually just yesterday, and I have to admit it was really good in my opinion. I agree with like what Tri said about it a little bit. Like me and him talked about it a little bit before. I don't know if we talked about it on stream, but we were talking about how like the story and all that.
Not like cutting out again.
Like it's more of just let's see. Oh,
You're
It's
back
like,
now.
Let's see how much we can throw together or whatever, you know.
Oh,
it's like,
I want to
okay,
clarify
yeah,
that, because I'm going to actually say something else about that, funny enough. What I was saying, and actually this was like 2 weeks ago, this is before I saw the movie, was that I was like hearing about the reviews of the movie and what people were saying, and how some people were talking about how they felt like there wasn't really much of a story and that it was just like, you know, kind of like nonsensical or whatever. But when I saw the movie, I thought it was actually pretty well done. Like I didn't feel like the story was lacking at all to my taste. I felt like you know, the story is exactly what I would expect to see from that sort of movie. Like, I mean, it's not going to be like the Lord of the Rings, which is 4 hours long. Like, it's obviously not going to be like that kind of a story-based experience, but the story was absolutely fine for what it was. And I actually thought there was more story than people were leading me to believe there was going to be, with the way they kind of dealt with certain things in the the movie. That's a good enough landing, I
Right.
guess. Like they had the
Like,
whole
my
part at the
opinion-
beginning with Mario and Luigi in New York City, and they're doing all that stuff with their plumbing business, and they have like their former
Right.
boss being like a jerk to them. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, like I love that because all the references. It's like I was talking about this earlier. I loved all the references. Like, it's his old boss is the Wrecking Crew, which is what he used to be part of. And then of course he went into the plumbing business because he's like, I want to start the plumbing business with my brother.
Maybe next time I'll
And
have
then the
what you
Wrecking
need.
Crew guy gives him crap about it. Basically goes, yeah, like you're not gonna go anywhere with this. Like you're out of your mind. Blah 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 blah. And I was just like, and I love how he like tries to pick a fight with him too. I'm just like, like I can actually see Mario do that. Like
Yeah, that was
yeah,
good.
you're gonna- Yeah.
And the rest of the stuff
But-
in the beginning of the movie with like his family and all that. Like I loved seeing the extended Mario family. That was so much fun.
Yeah. And my favorite thing is the one line that stuck with me the most, and I already like kind of mentioned it earlier before we started the stream, but I'm gonna mention it again because it just cracked me up. Is there was a scene, like if you've seen the trailer, this is like happens. Like Luigi gets captured by Bowser, and while he's like, what's the word? Like not interviewing, but it's like where like you like trying to like get information from interrogating. Yeah.
Yeah, the
When he's
interrogation.
interrogating him-
That's right.
Yeah, when he's giving the interrogation, he says to him, he's like, okay, now I need you to tell me about this Mario character. And he's like,
Oh yeah.
and he's like, oh, okay. And he goes, so this Mario, like, is he someone that a princess would find attractive? And Luigi just like barely hesitating goes, if she has good taste. I just busted up laughing when I heard that part. I was just like, he did not just say that.
Yeah, that was good. And I have to say, Jack Black doing that role as Bowser, he did such a good job with that. I was pretty impressed.
Hello.
Yeah,
You
it
can kind of
was
tell that he
absolutely
was having so
hilarious.
much fun doing that.
Yeah, I was pretty proud of him. I was like, this is just awesome how well he played that part. And I also love the line where it's like, and now we're gonna also like when I land there, I'm gonna have a fairy tale wedding, and everyone's just like quiet. Then all of a sudden, one person goes, "Yeah."
All right, and that part in the beginning was really good too. You remind me, Fantron. Like the whole commercial they do, where they're doing like the kind of the regular Mario accent that you're kind of used to, like doing the like, oh, it's a me and Mario, like we are gonna be plumbers and save the city, or like whatever. And then like they get done with the
yeah.
commercial, like, oh, you think that sounded like a little bit too like over the top, whatever. And like, oh no,
Right.
that's fine. And then then they have the actual Mario guy, the Charles Martinez. He does the like I guess it's I don't know if is it Mario's dad and their dad, or is it
Yeah,
just like the
Mario's
grandfather?
dad.
Yeah, whatever it was. Like yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was absolutely hilarious. I just love that because like, it's almost like he was making fun of the haters before when they were like, he doesn't sound like Mario, and he's like, this is too over the top. I shouldn't do this.
Sorry,
I
didn't
was
have
just
what
like,
you needed.
oh, that's too funny.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, I could definitely see the point, because the thing with the Mario thing is, between the Mario video games and the earlier Mario cartoons they had, he already had two different voices anyway, because you had like the old Mario cartoon, and he didn't really have like the weird silly voice. He had more of just like a regular voice.
Like my favorite thing is coworkers that I have. When I brought that up, they said the original Mario, like you said, had a Brooklyn accent.
Yeah.
Why is that any different than what Chris Pratt had? And I was like, okay, that's right there is the perfect argument. But nobody thought about that. They're just like, oh, no, because he doesn't sound like, it's me, Mario, all the time.
I really would
he's
have to
not gonna
say,
make the movie good.
if the whole movie was like that, that would have gotten really annoying after a while.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it would have. Easily.
I think I was even talking to you about that like before I went to see the movie, because we were like talking about how people were reacting, and I'm like, yeah, you can't do a whole movie with him talking like that. It's just gonna sound ridiculous after like even just 10 minutes.
Right.
Like it's one thing when it's in the game and he's just making like little sound effects every now and then. Like if he actually has to speak like that, and like every single conversation, you're just gonna be like not taking them seriously.
Well, look what
Exactly.
the cat dragged in.
And like another thing, there's like the scenes where like it slows it down and he's saying "Mamma Mia," and I'm just like, the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, that's clever. But then when they did it the second time, I was like,
Oh,
man,
you
I'm
leaving
kind of
so soon?
over it. Not in a bad way, just kind of like, I was like,
All right, so Mike, and you guys in the chat as well, feel free to chime in. So what do you think about them making a sequel to this? Yeah, the Mario movie.
this movie? Are they already talking about it?
Well,
Or
internally, I'm sure they're probably talking about it. They probably actually have it planned, if I had to guess. But like,
Right.
what do you think about the idea of another one? Yeah, and that's true.
I
There's
don't
a
know.
scene after the credits, as Shadowcat mentioned. I don't know if you stayed around for the whole
Yeah.
thing.
yeah, I did. But trying to remember what it exactly was.
They actually had two. There's one in the middle of the credits, and I think that was like Bowser stuck in like the little cage he was in, and he's playing the piano. And the second one was Yoshi. They had a Yoshi egg.
Oh crap! I missed that one.
Yeah, you had to wait for the very end of the credits for that one.
Yeah, of course.
Luckily, my cousin knew about it. She like looked it up. I was like, oh yeah, we have to stick around for the whole thing. Now Trice hasn't seen it personally. It was liked well. Everyone that I've like heard talk about it seems to have liked it. The only people that kind of had either not liked it or it was more like they just kind of had like complaints about it were more the movie critics themselves. But yeah, that's kind of typical. The movie critics can be just like what's the word for it? Like they could never be pleased in a way. Like they'll
Right.
find something to complain about.
Oh yeah. One of the thing I've always said is, if there is something to complain about, even the most minor thing, people will.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't even matter if it's redundant or not. It's just people will be like, oh, I didn't like this because of this, and it's like, well, okay, but why is that important?
Let's see. Value Input says if it did really well, they're gonna make. I think it already has done really well. Oh come on, my
Oh,
computer
yeah, I
went to
heard
sleep.
it overdid its
Yeah, it went crazy.
goal.
I'm looking up on my computer. Let's see the Mario movie box office. Is this current? Let's see. It says it's grossed 730 million worldwide, already making it the highest grossing film of 2023. So yeah, and it's still only been out for like what has it been, 2 or 3 weeks? So it's obviously gonna do way above $1 billion, and that's definitely gonna warrant a sequel. Try to see if this amount is
I mean,
actually
I don't-
current. Go ahead, Mike.
I don't like saying this, but I will say that part of it is the fact that there's a lot of people who grew up with the Mario games and all that, and that's why it's going to do so well, is because people are like, oh my god, I want to see how they did this. And then with people talking so, positive about it, they're probably like going in so happy. And I even heard from some of my buddies at work that they went and watched it not just once, but like 3 times.
Oh yeah,
So-
I've heard of plenty of people seeing it so many times.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what its like main,
I'd go broke with more
source
customers
of
like
income is
you.
coming from, is just people who are repeatedly watching it. Like somebody asked me if I thought it was like, when they asked me about my opinion of it, I was like, I mean, I wouldn't say that it was like, like a super amazing, like would watch like 1,000 times movie, but I would say that I would still like watch it again sometime, Some
Oh, yeah.
people, once I watch a movie, I have to wait a little bit before I watch it again. Otherwise,
Sure.
unless I'm like already okay, off topic a little bit, but like the movie Encanto, for example, I could watch that movie, over and over again and not be like, okay, I'm getting tired of this. as long as I like spread it out after a while. If I did that with a Mario movie, I would probably be like, okay, I need a break from this, is what I'm saying.
Well, the thing that when I was seeing the movie I thought really helped out as well is that they didn't really try to make the movie extra long. They just kept it to like right around 90 minutes. Yeah, and that's including the credits, I think, so it's even like a little bit shorter probably. And I think that was perfect because you don't want to drag out a kids movie like that and make it longer than it has to be. And the fact that they kind of kept it condensed like that helps a lot because I think that makes it so you don't really get bored at any point. Like there's nothing that really lasts for too long, drags itself out, making you bored.
Yeah. One of the things I mentioned before the stream was that my nieces and nephews want to go watch it. And my parents asked me, because they were going to take them, they said, hey, do you think they'll get bored? And I was like, well, when I went, I was sitting right next to a family that had a, young child, probably around the ages of, 8 or 10, something like that. And I didn't hear a peep from him during the
There's
entire
always Shamway up the road. You can try looting.
movie. So unless there was like a chance that he was like either falling asleep or something, like he was engrossed in the movie like either the whole time or at least enough that he wasn't causing a disturbance.
Yeah, you usually can't get my cousin's kids off of either the phone or tablet. And they actually, were able to pay full attention to the movie. They didn't really like squirm around or complain either. So it, definitely entertained them, I could tell.
My nieces
they wanted
and
to see it,
nephews
you
are
could tell.
like that as well. If they're watching something on like the same thing, like their, tablets or whatever, like it's hard to get them to pay attention to something else. But when it comes to movie time and stuff like that, they will watch and be like, okay, I'm gonna put my, please, as much of my attention on it as possible, because I want to see just how this is, And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine,
Yeah. Oh, well, speaking of that, Fantron, yeah, the DK rap was another thing that was in the movie, and yeah, I do remember there were a couple of points where, people were kind of like clapping through the movie, getting excited, that sort of thing. That's pretty fun to see.
Right.
It's funny. I really haven't been to the movies in a long time. I mean, even before everything with COVID, I hadn't been to the movies probably like a couple of years before that even. So this was my first time going back to the movies in, I would say probably it's been 5 years, if not more, that I haven't seen like a single movie in theaters. And that week I actually saw it too. Because I saw that, and they actually brought back the Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, in theaters to celebrate like the 20th anniversary of that movie.
Oh yeah, when I went, they had the trailer for it. I was like, they're still showing the trailer when that just ended yesterday.
Yeah, so that was funny.
Cruel.
So we all went and saw that as well. Well, not my, like, it was with, I guess you could say my cousin-in-law. He's like the guy that's married to my cousin, and, the father of all the kids. And, the thing is, we've known each other now for a long time because they were dating back when like they were in high school, and that's like the late 90s, so I've known him for like over 20 years as well. And when we went to see the Lord of the Rings in the first place, like when it came out in like the early 2000s, it was me,
I'll make the time.
my cousin, and she also has a brother, so it was like my two cousins, their boyfriends and girlfriends at the time, because they were only dating back then. And I think my uncle went too. So it was like a big thing with like a couple of my family members, and that was a lot of fun. We kind of did that for like each of the movies as they came out over the years. So with this one, it was him and my male cousin that went as well, because he was interested in doing that. So it was kind of cool like doing that again after 20 years from doing it in the past, where we all went and saw those movies. It's kind of like very nostalgic. And I was gonna say, the thing about that was, it was funny because during that, like all the obviously it was a bunch of like super fans of Lord of the Rings going to see that, and like they were clapping through all like the different scenes too, like like there's the guy who finally kills like that orc that's like a freaking asshole killing everyone, and like he finally dies, so everyone claps for his death. Aragorn gives a speech about how like the men must unite to like drive off the Sauron and basically save humanity. Like, the age of men may come crashing down, but it's not this day. This day we fight. That one.
Right.
So, you know, all that stuff, like, you know, people start, like, cheering and applauding for. It's funny.
Mm-hmm. I love stuff like that. Like, I know people
bad
always
I
say,
couldn't
like,
help it.
movies are supposed to be, like, quiet. Like, you're not supposed to get excited. I mean, like, we had people when I went to the went to the Mario movie that were, like, laughing out loud and, you know.
Well, it's good to hear people having a good time.
Yeah, it's like, I forget what line it was that people laughed the hardest, but like, it was one of the lines in it where they're just like, when he said something, they just started like, I laughed, or like the people next to me laughed. I was like, this is perfect. See, there's nothing wrong with laughing at a scene in a movie. Like, if you think there's something wrong with that, that means that you taking movie watching too seriously. Watch it at home at that point, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, there's different kinds of movies and different kind of scenes in the movies where, you know, it's appropriate to do certain stuff.
Right.
You remember that quote from Aragorn? It is not this day. I see in you the same fear that would be the death of me. Try to remember how it all goes. It's a really good, it's a good speech. Yeah, it just makes you feel so, I don't know, it just, like, gives you, like, a special feeling, like, yeah. Like, we need to fight. We need to keep humanity alive.
I mean, like, they had a speech similar to that in the Mario movie, because, like, where, you know, Princess Peach says, like, you know, I gotta go get this army so that I can fight to protect you all. You know, and I was like, hell yeah, that's pretty awesome right there. You know, I'm okay with that. Apparently a complaint that I heard recently is that there was a few people that did kind of complain that you know, Princess Toadstool not being just like I'm gonna sit here and be terrified while everything goes down.
They saying
I was like, yeah, I get what you mean, but I mean, it's okay for them to change the character a little bit, because in some of the newer games, she's not helpless, you know? Like, she does actually kind of defend herself a little bit.
I was just thinking, you know what I was going to say, Value? I don't know if you've seen the movie with all the extended editions or whatnot, but with, like, right around that scene in The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, when, you know, Aragorn leads the army to go to the gates of Mordor and basically provide a distraction to give Frodo enough time to destroy the ring. There's an extra scene in the extended edition where, I don't know what his name is, but basically they send out this, like, really nasty looking guy with, like, he has, like, a helmet over his face, he has, like, this weird mouth with all these sharp teeth, and, like, basically he goes out to, like, greet Aragorn at the front of the gates and, like, try to negotiate with him. And it wasn't in the original cut, but it's such a good scene. Because, you know, Aragorn goes to the gate, he's like, I demand to speak to the Lord of Mordor, you know, and he must surrender and pay for his crimes, and then, like, this, like, evil douchebag of a negotiator comes out and is like, oh, like, what do you want to talk to the Dark Lord about? Like, you know, why don't you just go back to your homes and, like, you know, forget about all this. Just go your own way. And he's like, no, like, we have to deal with this right here and now. Like, I'm not going to let you get away with this. And then, like, the part that I love is by that part in the movie, like, at one point they had captured Frodo and, like, they got his, like, mithril chainmail.
Yeah.
So they didn't have this in the original movie, just like the original theatrical cut. But this guy, like this evil douchebag, basically says like, oh, by the way, we have this. And he throws the mithril chainmail at him and he acts like, yeah, we captured the halfling. He's already dead. Like, he suffered a lot before the end. And, like, in reality, like, Frodo managed to get away. Like, they only were able to get his chainmail. But he, like, bluffs to them to try to get them to basically, like, give up into despair. And, like, just...
You know...
Oh, let me just finish this first. I just want to say...
Okay, go ahead.
And, like, what I love about that is, like, so you see, like, you know, everyone's eyes, like, fall. Like, because, like, Gandalf is there. You know, the other hobbits are there. You know, Gimli, Legolas, and everyone's like, oh my god, like, what happened? Like, did they actually, like, kill him? And then, like, Aragorn just, like, looks at the guy, and he just, like, kind of rides his horse around as if he's about to leave, but then he, like, pulls out his sword and just decapitates him. It's, like, so fucking awesome. And, like, everyone in the theater cheers at that part. Anyway, I just wanted to finish that. Go ahead, you can say whatever it was now.
Well, what I think is funny about that is I don't know if you've played the Lord of the Rings video games that came out on the PlayStation 2 and all that, and like PlayStation 3, I think so it was. They actually do reference that scene when he throws the mithril chainmail down, and I think I don't know if the original line said this, but in the game he actually says, "Oh my gosh, that must mean that, he's dead." Like,
Yeah, the movie's a little bit more subtle about the whole thing. Like, not like the game, but yeah.
But the game actually, like, flat out says that, like, "Oh my gosh, he must have died," but that's when, like,
Yeah. The way they do it in the movie is worse, because he's like, "Oh, yeah, by the way, I'm returning this to you." And he's like, that poor halfling, like, to come so far and yet have to suffer so much only to be, only to fail in the end. And, like, the way they do it with the subtlety is so much better. So it makes it, like, it's just like twisting the knife into Aragorn right there.
Right.
I would definitely try to check that out. There's a couple of these extra scenes in the extended editions that actually improve the movie a lot, in my opinion. It's that one, and there's one in the beginning where they actually confront Saruman, which got cut out. And, like, they all go to confront Saruman at, I forget the name of the tower that he's at, but they, confront him at Isengard. That's what the name is. And, he's on the top of the tower, and he's, like, talking all this shit. And they're trying to, like, get him to surrender, basically. And then he gets, like, stabbed by Wormtongue, and, like, it actually shows how that ends up playing out. But anyway, yeah, you have to go. Have a good night, value your inputs. I don't want to keep you up too late with that. There's actually a lot I could say about that scene. Because the funny thing about that is that's not actually in the original books either. It actually plays out even differently in the books. But, as far as making it like a little bit condensed, even for the extended edition, I think that scene was fine. It actually at least brings an end to the whole storyline of Saruman, which it didn't have in the original. Where am I going? I think I'm going the wrong direction. I got lost. Yeah, sounds good. Take care of yourself.
When movies add, like, extended scenes and they're actually enjoyable. Here's a reference to one that I remember that they actually never brought back because it had such a bad response to it. In the Lion King movie, there was a song that got removed, and it was called the Morning Report song or something like that. I don't know if you ever heard of it. You probably haven't, because that's how bad of a song it really is. And
no, I've not heard of it.
Yeah, so it's a scene right before, Mufasa's teaching him how to sneak up on a person and pounce on him, or whatever, right? Like another animal and pounce on him, And it actually came right before that scene. And then he pounces him during the song, and then Simba takes over and starts singing the report.
Yeah.
And they took it out because they said, well, I don't know if this is actually that good. So they took it out of the original, and then they had an extended release that came out later, and we ended up watching it, and we only watched it like maybe twice, and then afterwards we were just like, no, this scene kind of ruins the movie. It's better just to watch the original that doesn't have it in there.
Yeah, you don't need everything to be extended out in movies.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I get when they add stuff to it. Like, there are times where they've done it right. Like, in this situation with The Lord of the Rings, they did it right by making these epic scenes that people are like, oh my god, this is so awesome. Like, yeah, this is so cool. But in that movie, it was just like, this is unnecessary. Why was this added? It doesn't really add anything.
The thing about it with The Lord of the Rings was, like, the parts I feel were they're both so important, and they just felt so, they were strong moments emotionally in the movie. So I was surprised that, like, they didn't actually make the final cut. And I think one of the things that happened with the whole, the first scene with Saruman, who's played by Christopher Lee, is, like, he was very upset because, he's the only one of the cast that actually met with, Tolkien. And, like, he was a super fan of The Lord of the Rings. Like, long before the movies came out, like, he knew the books, Tolkien at one point, and
Yeah.
originally he wanted to be cast as like Gandalf, back in the day, but they only made the movies like later on, and they felt he was too old to actually play Gandalf at that point, but they did cast him as Saruman.
Right.
So he was really disappointed when they cut him out of that movie, because he had been in the other two, but like for whatever reason they decided to cut out that scene, and he was like so disappointed by that, and he felt so hurt that they would actually just cut out like the only scene that he had, and like the scene where his whole storyline's brought to an end because he gets killed at that point.
Right. I mean, like going on to other movies though, like I'll go back to the animated movies. My favorite thing ever is in Frozen 2. Kristoff, the guy who played him wasn't actually going to show up in the movie that much at all, is what they said originally. And then he had this whole music number and like multiple times where he actually shows up in the movie when it wasn't planned. And the reason why is because he threatened to leave the show, like the movie, if they didn't like at least give him one music number.
That's a little weird. I mean, like this is Christopher Lee we're talking about, so he's like an acting legend, and like not only legend. Like I don't know if you've like heard about his story. Have you, Mike? Like he actually served. I think it was back in World War II, and he was like a British secret agent. And I think I even heard that like part of Ian Fleming's like James Bond is like partly based on his life. Yeah, I'm serious. Cool. If you like, you can go to his like Wikipedia and read about it. Like he did a bunch of stuff that was like all like classified and like never got actually revealed. So like he wasn't just an actor. He was also like, he's like an international man of mystery, as you would if you were to reference what was it, Austin Powers.
Yeah. Right. That's epic. I love that.
But the cool thing is they did eventually bring him back because they end up making the Hobbit movies. So they did have his character in those ones, because set like before the events of the Lord of the Rings, and that was nice at least. What a Chad.
Right.
Oh, this is gonna be funny. So anyway, I was mentioning my cousins and her kids in particular, and like now one of them, he keeps on mentioning like the Giga Chad thing, because like whenever he feels like proud of himself, because we went bowling as well, and like whenever he'd do well in bowling, like he would get like a strike or whatever, he would like make the Giga Chad face, as he called it, where he just like makes it like the smug smirk, and his mom was like, I hate when you make that face, you look like such a jerk with that on. Yeah, these kids love those memes and all that stuff.
Right.
I was like, that's my Giga Chad face. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh my goodness.
Well, it was funny though, because like he does a little bit like too much stuff, like with the whole internet thing. Because like that same day, I also found out like, and his mom, I don't know how we like got into this, but like eventually we found out that like he apparently has like a YouTube channel that he was uploading to, and his mom was like so pissed off because like he's not supposed to actually have like a social media account yet to do that sort of thing.
Right.
But he has, he has his own phone, so he's been like recording stuff of him just like, I guess basically like talking crap and like reviewing random things.
Right.
Like for whatever reason he's into like that whole like was it Jake Paul or Logan Paul stuff. So he gets all those drinks of I guess it's just called Prime or whatever. And he was like doing some
like
kind of
G
series
Fuel or whatever. Yeah.
It's basically like G Fuel and like all that sort of stuff. And he basically would like do like videos where he would review the different flavors, I guess.
Right.
And his mom was pissed off at one of them because she's like, wait, like, that's a picture of me holding it in my hand. Why the hell did he use that? Like, I don't want you uploading videos with me in them.
Love it. Oh, the good old days. Let's see. Wow, we have so much gunpowder now. Holy crap. Okay.
Yeah, we have a lot of things.
started making a whole lot more brass casings and bullet tips again because I noticed that we needed more of those.
Oh, we used a ton of ammo during that last Fortnite.
Right.
Yeah, we had a lot of the 7.62 high-powered, but now I think we used it all. Unless you're carrying some with you still.
No, I only have the regular 7.62 ammo.
Oh, it's just storming outside. That's right, I need to put some points in something if I want to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 2 points. Yay.
So did I. Where would they be most useful at this point in the game? I don't know. Most of the stuff I'm already happy with. I have to get strength level 10 for that. It's honestly not that much improvement.
I always love that whenever you like thought you put points in something and then you come look at it again and you're like, wait, why is there no points in this?
Well done. Ah, the sheriff is in town. I've just been messing around. Let's see if there's any missions we could do when it gets bright out. So where is this mission? Hospital? Skyscraper? I guess we could do one of these. I'll do that when it's nice and bright out. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to mention. Were there any others? Oh, yeah, okay. I remember. I knew there's more. So, have you seen any of the newer trailers for the Breath of the Wild 2? Or whatever they call it, Mike?
I've been seeing thumbnails of YouTube videos that were talking about it, but I haven't seen any actual trailers. I got some emails from like Nintendo because I get those every now and then, and they said, hey, it's coming out soon, it's coming out soon. I was like, really? I thought that wasn't going to come out for a long time.
Well, you thought wrong.
Apparently.
I actually don't know what's come out either. I haven't been following it too much, but I mentioned a couple of weeks ago about how I saw the one trailer and I'm like, oh my god, this reminds me of the Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts thing almost. Yeah. And like, I wasn't happy about that. And since then they did have another trailer, and I thought it looked a lot better because it actually seemed to have a lot more action in it, and they even showed some cutscenes. Do you want to know a little bit about Mike, or do you like not want to know the info about it? Just curious.
Ooh, I'm sorry. I opened that solar thing finally. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What was it you were talking about?
I was saying, do you want me to talk about like what was in the trailer, or do you want like not want to be spoiled on it? I was just wondering your attitude
you
was.
Can talk about it. I don't mind.
So they showed like a lot of the cutscenes of, I guess, what's going to be in the game. And like one of the things they showed was they actually showed that they're going to have Ganondorf himself in it. Like not just in Ganon form, but apparently he's going to be in Ganondorf form at some point.
Cool.
And I'm like, you know what? This could actually be pretty cool if they're going to do this. My only concern about it, though, is I'm not sure if like... Because for all we know, that could just be like a flashback like they had in the original Breath of the Wild, where they showed stuff that happened in the past in the game. And if that's the case, that's going to be kind of disappointing to me. But hopefully, like, you actually see him like that in the game itself.
Yeah, it would be nice. Like, actually, instead of fighting like this just phantom thing.
Yeah, I always like human form Ganondorf in the games. It feels more interesting to me that way than just like his beast form.
Yeah. I still remember one of the concerns though that people made was, and this is the one I've been making too, that there's not going to be actual dungeons still, and I was like,
yeah,
I hope there is, but at the same time, if there's not, I mean,
I still couldn't really tell from that trailer.
Yeah.
Like they, at least with this trailer, they showed off a lot more of the action. Because like the other one was so lame. Because it showed off like all the stupid building. I'm like, I don't care about the building. Like I don't care about Fortnite. I don't care about whatever. Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts, essentially. Like that doesn't interest me.
Right.
Oh yeah, with the whole the whole
Shout.
trailer, they were showing off a lot of like the, I guess, vehicle construction is what it looked like of the game.
I mean, in a way that it does sound kind of interesting, but it has to be done right. Otherwise, it's just like, you know, to me, it's just like, eh. Like if it's done exactly like nuts and bolts, because I remember watching gameplay of that, it will suck, because I have to admit most of that did suck in my opinion.
Well, I have to ask you about this, Fantron, because I don't actually know what that is. Now, is that like Demise or Demise? I'm not really too sure, because I never played Skyward Sword.
I always pronounce it Demise.
Yeah, like the word demise, I guess. I don't really know. But I never played that game, so what the hell is that?
Let's see. I think it's the creature that you have to seal in the ground, if I remember right.
Creature at the seal in the ground. Now that almost sounds like Orphan. With Mars storyline.
Or am I thinking of something like, Phantom might have to correct me,
I'm sure Fantron will know, yeah.
But I think if Demise is who I think it is, it's this, shadowy creature.
Now, I guess this might also be another Fantron thing to answer. Is Skyward Sword supposed to be set before or after, Breath of the Wild? Because I don't know what the order of the games are. I never cared about the order of the games. And then, like, after a while, it seemed like Nintendo didn't, but then they started to care about it, and they tried to make logical sense of it, I think, but I don't know how it works out.
If you believe what all the fans say, I believe Skyward Sword is supposed to be the first game. In the chronological order. Yeah,
but the thing is, with every that's the meme about Zelda games. Every single new game is the first game, because obviously there's the first game. Then they had A Link to the Past, which was like, oh no, now that's supposed to be the first game. Then they did Ocarina of Time, like, oh no, now this is the first game. And then after Ocarina of Time, they actually did take like a little bit of break from it, but then they did like the Minish Cap, and like, oh no, now the Minish Cap is the first game. So, alright. Fantron saying Skyward Sword is still the beginning? Okay, so as of now, Skyward Sword is still considered the beginning of the game. Or, the series, anyway. And Breath of the Wild isn't. When is Breath of the Wild set? Does it actually matter? Or is it not really related to other ones?
Explain it once, but I don't remember what it was now.
Like, the few parts where it mattered was for Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and then, Wind Waker. Like, they all referenced each other in them, basically. Because they all talked about the Hero of Time.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't remember if, Twilight Princess did or not. Did Twilight Princess, like, mention the Hero of Time and all that stuff, or... No, wait, they did, right? Because, yeah, you go to the ruins of the Temple of Time. And they mentioned, like, okay, yeah, they did. All right, I couldn't remember for a second there. Did I go too far? Oh, I did. Let's go back down that way. That's right. Yeah, no problem. Breath of the Wild's supposed to be the last one in the series. Well, alright, that's another thing, right? Because they say that they take place in different timelines. That's the part where I, like... I mean, I always kind of knew that was the case, because, like, we were talking about that, like, back when I was a kid. Like, us kids would kind of, like, talk to each other about that, like, you know, the, what's the word for it? Like, the, water cooler, talk, basically. It was about, like, the Zelda timeline, and, oh, yeah, like, Zelda takes place in different dimensions after Ocarina of Time because they got split, and Majora's Mask Link was one thing, and Wind Waker Link was another, and, you know, yada, yada, yada. But that was all just kind of like people talking, and then eventually I think Nintendo confirmed it. Or at least they kind of like worked it into their own timeline. I don't know if they did it exactly as people expected them to, though. Because I feel like they made an official thing, but then people were surprised because like it didn't actually make sense in the way they thought it was going to. Oh, wow. Someone sounds tired. Mike, we all heard you like loudly yawn back there. You okay?
Yawn or laugh?
Oh, I couldn't tell. I just heard like a loud like, oh, or something to that effect.
Oh, that was me like doing my, you know, when you like do that after you finish laughing, you do that,
Ah,
thing,
okay.
you know? That's what I was doing.
That's the only part I heard of it.
No, yeah, something funny happened while I was getting a drink.
Ah, I gotcha.
Did I? Yeah, I put enough stuff.
I guess I could check here. I don't think I brought money though, but I could check to see if they have anything here. There's like 3 timelines after Ocarina of Time. I know, like that's the jeez. Oh my god. All right, that was not the best way of doing that. Yeah, the trader's not even open right now. Where did it go?
Excuse me.
But I guess the new one will be simple, right? Because it just takes place after Breath of the Wild, so you don't have to worry too much about all the other nonsense of what links up with what. You know, that pun was not intentional, by the way.
I felt like it was supposed to make references to, what is it called? Skyward Sword, though, in a way.
It might. Fantron might know. I don't know what the references to Skyward Sword would be. I mean, it's funny that they keep referencing this game because I never. That's like the one I never played, and now it's the one they reference all the time. I guess for some reason.
Right.
Go figure. I can understand 2 of them, says Fantron. But not the 3rd one, where they say that Link died while fighting against Ganon? Link died while fighting against Ganon. When did Link die against Ganon? Is that actually in the game? Because I don't remember that.
I don't remember either, honestly. It's been so long since I played the game.
Like, I guess the only thing I could... They don't say he died, but in Wind Waker, they're like, oh, well, like, Ganon came back, but the hero wasn't around to defeat him. But I don't think that was meant to say that he died, did it?
Maybe. I mean, I know that the book that everyone says is bullshit now, the Hyrule Compendium thing or whatever it's called.
Compendium?
You know, that little book. Yeah, compendium that they sold. I know they said that if you follow those, they said something like, in some of the stories, like Link to the Past and stuff, was Link failed to defeat Ganon, so that led to this, you know, timeline. And then another one was like, oh, you know, this happened, so this is what caused this to happen, so on and so forth. And after a while, you're just like, okay, this doesn't make any sense anymore.
All right, let's see. Is this what it is? I'm looking at a picture.
Mm-hmm.
This is from the book you're talking about. Okay. There's a timeline called The Hero is Defeated. Okay, oh no. I see what Fantron's saying. It was supposed to be at the end of Ocarina of Time. The hero is defeated and the 7 sages seal away Ganon, the king of evil? Wait, no, that's amazing. How would they seal him if the hero was defeated? What? Okay, this doesn't make You're right. You guys are talking about this like Fantron here and saying that you don't understand this. It doesn't make sense. Because there's a timeline
Right.
that says the hero is defeated, so I guess it means Link died, essentially. Not in so many words, but then it says that somehow Ganon got imprisoned by the Seven Sages. But how would that work? Because in the timeline, Ganon had already imprisoned the Seven Sages. So they couldn't have done that. Like, it'd be literally impossible.
Like, the only thing I can think of, like, if I was gonna try to base any amount of logic to that, is they're trying to say that even though he was defeated, since he had saved them up to that point where he fought.
Oh,
against Ganon,
okay. That's a good
maybe
point,
that's
Mike.
what they're saying?
That's a good
Yeah.
point. So you're saying that basically it happens like it does in Ocarina of Time. Link does the whole stuff where he like basically frees the sages, but then when he goes to fight Ganon, he dies.
Yeah, he fails and gets defeated.
Ah.
But they still, like, he managed to weaken Ganon enough where the sages, with probably the help of Princess Zelda, you know, somehow managed to still seal him at least enough for the next hero to appear. That's probably what I'm thinking they were going with. And I could see how that would make a little bit of sense, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, no, I can see why people would get mad about that.
I can kind of
because-
understand it that way.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird that they did that, but it sort of makes sense. That's
Right.
You actually explained it really good that way. You know, compared to this document, you know, it doesn't really say that much. Like, you did it better than Nintendo did. So good job,
Yeah.
Mike.
Sometimes
Yeah, and that
I'm
says-
able to decode stuff to a way that
I've got a
Makes it-
bad feeling about this.
it's a little bit easier to chew, so to speak. Like,
Mhm.
you know, where it's like, okay, hold on. So you saying, like, if you put it in basic terms, it's like, okay, what they wanted you to believe is Link dies, and the sages are still somehow able to seal him. But like you said, that's a logical fallacy because you didn't say if he saved the sages first. You just said, oh, Link dies. Well, if any logical person who was reading that, they'd be like, wait, he died, which means he didn't save the sages, which means they wouldn't be able to do anything because they would still be sealed.
Mhm.
But if you read deeper into it and say, wait, hold on, maybe they mean, you know, he went to fight Ganon, like he got all the way up there. And
He climbed all those
all of a
damn
sudden-
stairs and he was too exhausted and got himself killed.
Yeah, got himself killed. Like, either he was really shitty at firing the bow after all, like he panicked too much and missed all the time. Or maybe,
That's
maybe
just really funny
he
imagining.
Sucked, like, maybe he sucked at hitting the power back at him, like, you know, the energy balls or whatever.
Yeah. Maybe the damn
Like
controls of the
me.
game were too buggy. He couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's like too many things could, like, too many variables could have happened, and he's just like, yep, I'm gonna die because of this, you know?
This is bullshit. I can't believe I'm gonna die because of this weird controller they made for the N64.
Right.
Okay, yeah. And yeah, it does say after this, so then it's A Link to the Past, Link's Awakening. Oh, the Oracle of Seasons and Ages games. The Link Between Worlds.
Ooh, sorry.
Triforce Heroes, which I don't even know what that is. And then the regular
Triforce
Legend of
Heroes
Zelda
came out
and Adventures of Link.
on the DS.
Yeah, bless you, Mike.
I've got a bad feeling
Thank you.
about this.
Yeah, it came out on either the 3DS or DS. I can't remember which one it was exactly. But
It is
yeah,
funny.
um,
Like, most of the games take place in the timeline where Link dies. That's very strange.
right. What I think is funny though about the Oracle games is they're supposed to follow immediately after, you know, Link to the Past thing, because he goes on his journey and winds up at this temple or something, and they send him off to another area for him to, you know, save another, you know, place in need or whatever.
Just imagine how it was for that Link in particular. Like, yeah, he saves the world during the, the whatever you want to call it, with the Link to the Past. Then he like goes on a trip on his raft and he gets like knocked out in a storm and dreams about being on that island. Then he goes to like some other place and he has to like fight those other enemies in the Oracle games. I don't remember their names. Like that Link had to put up with a lot of shit.
My favorite thing though is the Link's Awakening ending where you wake up and you find yourself on the remains of your raft. People say, isn't it kind of screwed up that the windfish just leaves Link to die? And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, think about it. The windfish just leaves Link to die, if you think about it, because quite literally when
normally if you're in the middle of the ocean, you're not going to be in good shape, but I guess he's supposed to be safe somehow.
Because, like, there's some people, I read this thing afterwards, and they were saying, yeah, it's pretty screwed up when you think about how the ending of that game is, because you help wake the windfish, which gets rid of the dream world that you were in, that you were part of, because, you were having a fever dream from wrecking your boat or whatever, and then next thing you know, you're just floating in the middle of the ocean on a log, and everyone says, let the first thought that goes through your mind be, I'm going to die. Like, there's just no better way of saying it. I'm going to die. And I was like, you have a point. You do technically, like, find yourself in a situation where you're just like, yep, this is it. This is how I die.
Yeah, normal situations, being stranded on like a lone log in the ocean, it's not good. Especially if your name is Leo, and your girlfriend's hogging up the remnants of the wardrobe or log or whatever it is.
Yeah. I always love that argument too. They were like, there was plenty of room on that for both of them. She was just being a little bitch, and I'm just like, oh my god, people.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let me like look at the rest of this list. So they do have a timeline where they say that this child timeline. What does this mean? Ganondorf's plot is stopped. Do you want to interpret that one, Mike?
So we talked about that one too, and I think I didn't do a good job explaining it at that point, but I think I can try to do better this time.
Oh, go ahead.
So the child thing is, it's supposed to kind of say that Link and whoever he ends up with has a child, and that's who the next hero is supposed to be, apparently.
Whoa, wait, what? Like
Yeah,
Link, he did it?
yeah.
Oh.
That's at least what, people try to at least claim,
Oh, so who did he end up with? Now I'm curious.
A lot of people say the princess. A lot of other people say,
Well, okay, the thing is, if he did end up with the princess, then if his descendant was interested in, like, Zelda's descendant, it gets a little bit hairy. With the whole incest thing or whatever.
Right, exactly. And that's why a lot of people say that it could be Marin, And a lot of people want that, like, I know.
Well, it obviously couldn't have been it obviously couldn't have been the forest chick who doesn't age.
Right. Oh, God. I just remember when I watched this one guy on YouTube, he was making fun of that. He goes, and like his little race against one of his buddies when they were playing the game, he was making fun of like when you're talking to Saria, and she goes, oh, by the way, if you still like me now that you're an adult, that makes you a pedophile. And I was just like, The fuck, dude? Like, no, you can't say that. That's horrible.
Wait,
What's wrong with you?
When did this happen?
This guy's like basically said it as a joke. In one
Oh,
of
the
his
guy was like
videos.
making up his own line of the. Okay, I see.
Dialogue between them, yeah.
I'm like, I don't remember that being in the game.
No.
Master, we are not alone.
But basically, like, the guy was making his own, like, dialogue to make fun of the game.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's get back a little bit.
I mean, like, one of the jokes that people make is even the line in the game goes, you know, when you rescue Saria, it says, Saria will always be your friend. And I was like, did they put that in on purpose, or is that just literally them being little smart asses being like, yes, Saria is still considered a child, so get your ass, like, get your head out of the gutter, you little weirdos.
Well, I hope people wouldn't have to be told that.
Right, but I mean, it's hard to say for certain, you know.
Well, the funny, I guess as a kid, you don't really think all that much about it. Assuming like you played the game as a kid, which, you know, at least we all did back in the day.
I still say my favorite thing though in Breath of the Wild was how you were apparently in a comatose state for like 100 years, right? That's how the story goes.
Yeah, it has like a
But
weird
when you
backstory.
wake up, you have no memory of, you know, anybody that you were with or anything like that. The only thing you know, where you're like, that you're stuck in this weird place and that a voice told you to go somewhere. And that's the only thing that you have is to like go off of.
I've got a bad feeling
And
about this.
It's like an old story in the Bible or something.
at one of the points, like, they make a joke about how at the first fight you get into, you don't seem to have any trouble fighting. They're like, well, at least your battle instincts seem to still be, you know, unaffected. And I'm like, that's just like Percy Jackson, like where they say, oh, the only thing that keeps you alive is your battle instincts. Like, even though you've never fought in your life, you have, like, you know, built-in battle instincts. And I'm like, what the hell is that? That doesn't make any sense at all. It's like, where are you coming up with this?
That's like a lot of things, right? Where people lose their memory, but they're still like proficient killers. Like that's like the Bourne Identity. Was that like the idea
Right.
behind what's the name of that movie? Kill Bill? I never saw it, but I think
Yeah.
that's like the idea behind that as well.
Yeah, Kill Bill was, she wakes up in a hospital, and then the last thing she remembers is, it actually turns out to be like her lover or something like that put her there, and she starts slowly like gaining her memory back in that, and then decides, yeah, I'm gonna go hunt him down and kill him for what he did to me. And like everybody makes fun of that a little bit because they're like, wait a minute, wait, hold on. You wake up after being like in a coma from losing a fight, apparently, that's what you learn in the story. And the first thing you think of
Master,
is,
we are not
wait a
alone.
minute, I lost this fight to this person. I need to go stab the hell out of him with a really sharp katana.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. But I mean,
You're not gonna use a dull katana.
my favorite thing in Wind Waker was when you first get the Master Sword, you easily pull it out of the, you know, the stone that it's like enshrined in or whatever. Like it's nothing, and then like when you show it, it's not lit up or anything. Like it doesn't have a glowing blade or anything of that nature. Instead, it's just like a dull-looking sword, to say the least. And I love it when you finally go and, you know, fight Ganon with it the first time. You hit him with it, and he's just standing there completely unharmed, and he goes basically like not really in these words, but it's basically he's like, yeah, way to go, jackass. I didn't do anything. Your weapon is dull and powerless. Like, you have to get it, you know, charged up, you know,
My
again.
senses have picked
And
up
it's like,
something.
wait, what? Hold on. In every game that you played up to this point, the Master Sword just comes ready to go.
Pre-charged, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, everything has to be charged now, like your phone, your Master Sword too.
I just realized that nobody took the party.
Oh, I sent you one, Mike. Or no, I sent
Oh, you did?
Shadowcat one. Yeah. Here, I'll send you another one.
That's why it didn't work. Pretty good. I think it's because I had trouble with the game and it probably didn't come through.
No, you accepted it, Shadowcat. I think you did it in the beginning. Unless I didn't notice. I don't know. It didn't really matter much to anyway, did it? So what are you doing, by the way, Shadowcat? You working on anything cool at the base? Oh god. Ow.
I still remember our favorite, like my favorite thing is like when we were like discussing the ending of Ocarina of Time back in the day, and we were saying how little sense it makes because, you know, Navi leaves, and then you leave, and then in Majora's Mask, later on, it says that he's looking for Navi, and it's like, what? Like, why? Like, it makes no indication of that being a necessity. Because
Like,
it's
come
like,
on, Link. Navi's a pain in the ass.
yeah, Navi was a pain in the ass. Like, you didn't even take her advice half the time anyway. So it's like, why do you care that Navi left? Like, what are you hoping to accomplish by hunting her down? But I remember, like, the very starting round, like, not round, thing, and, what is it called? Majora's Mask was you went out in search of a friend, and it's like, wait, what friend? And then it makes the sound of the fairy, and you're like, wait, he's searching for Navi? Why? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, it's like, when did this happen? Like,
Wait, I just noticed Fantron says, haven't played Wind Waker since last week. Oh, that long has it been?
oh my goodness. Every time I think of Wind Waker, though, I think of my late grandfather that I used to play it with him. And I helped him beat the game, and that's what I always think of when I think of Wind Waker now.
Aw.
I just remember him having a little GameCube and just like talking about how much fun it was to play all those games and stuff. And I was like, "Oh, that's so awesome!" And I remember we first talked about that, and you were like, "Wait, really? You had a grandfather that played video games? That's so awesome!" And I'm like, "I know, right? Just like something you wouldn't expect is like, you know, a 60-year-old man being like, yeah, I'm gonna still play video games."
Well, yeah, and especially just from, like, that's probably going to become more common now in the future, but just from, like, that generation in particular. Because they just really, at least with my family, none of them were, like, interested in games at all.
Right.
Like, let alone, like, kind of, like, my parents and, like, aunts and uncles, like, I guess some of them kind of, like, put up with doing it every now and then, but, like, none of them actually wanted to do that sort of stuff with us.
Like, the funny thing is, my parents grew up with, like, you know, having a Atari, an NES, and a Super Nintendo. They eventually got rid of the Atari, but they still had the Super Nintendo and NES when I, you know, came in the picture. And my favorite thing though is I was talking to my dad about the Mario movie and all the references in it, and I mentioned Super Mario Bros. Like the original one because it has like the little 2D like side scroller like looking thing, and I mentioned how it just reminded me of the original Super Mario Bros. And he was talking about how it's on the Switch, and my dad goes, "But I tried playing it and it's just not the same as it was when I first played it, And I was like, being like nice, I was like, well, in a way, it's also probably a little bit harder, not having played it in so many years too. So there's that. And
Yeah,
then like now you
going
can
back
just,
to
like,
all
look
those
up
older
all
games
the-
feels different.
Yeah, and it's like now you can just look up all the little secrets too, which kind of ruins the game a little bit for some.
Oh yeah, it's completely different doing that.
Yeah.
And they always say that certain things, just are different than you remember them being. Like you'll look at a game that you played whatever 30 years ago, and like, I thought this game looked a lot better when I was playing that back
Right.
then. And the thing
Oh,
was, it
yeah,
looked the
like-
same. It's just your memory isn't what it was.
You know how I've been mentioning every time that I've been playing Legend of Legaia again, but with my challenge mode instead, like putting an old little challenge on it. I had to use the component cables instead of the
Incoming
you
enemy.
know,
Prepare
original
for conflict.
connection that it had.
Mhm.
And that ups the graphics a little bit, but just barely. And I still look at it every now and then. I'm just like, wow. The first time I played this game looked so immaculate and blah, blah, blah. And now it looks such pixelated garbage. It's kind of sad. But then again, you still enjoy it because you're like, well, I remember the good times of it, and that's all that matters. But, you can't help but be like, what's the word, spoiled by the games now, where they're like, we need true HD quality for everything. And it's like, yeah, okay.
Whoa. I remember when, and I think I kind of got this later on when I started doing videos of certain games. I got the, the component cables versus the composite cables, whatever it was. And
Right.
when I got that for the PlayStation 2, it was like so much nicer having that because with the composite cables it's like super compressed, and you actually get a clear signal
Right.
with the component being split up the way it is. The graphics of the game are still the graphics of the game, but like it's actually sending like a more uncompressed feed than you normally get from the other
Master,
one.
we are not alone.
Oh, nice. I don't know if you read this already, but Fantron's saying they're doing a marathon of all the 3D Zeldas until the new game comes out.
All right, and you said you finished Wind Waker. I've been going in order. How many do you have left to do? And also, I guess what would be the question, are you doing it in chronological order in terms of when the games came out? Or in the chronological order of the supposed timeline?
That is a good question.
And then I guess the question is which timeline, because there's multiple ones.
I think it's funny though. One of my friends who watched the Mario movie said they wanted to play all the games now that they've seen it because they hadn't actually played them before.
There's a lot of Mario games.
Yeah, and so like they were asking me about the references, and I was like, well, it references little bit of each game. Like it references like Mario Kart 8. It references Super Mario 3D World. It references Super Mario Bros. It references, and I kept going through the entire list, and the whole time they're just like staring at me like, holy crap, this guy knows them all. This is so amazing. And I was like, yeah, it's like I've played them all for the most part, and so I would hope that I know them all. Yeah. But it just cracks me up that I'm sure there was some people in the movie theaters that was their first experience of like actually seeing anything Mario related,
Yeah.
you know, and they still enjoyed it. But I'm just like sitting there like, well, I mean, if you don't know the references though, it kind of feels empty, I guess, to a point. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
wrong. I don't know. But I
Or it
just
may
feel
be
like-
that like you're playing, or you played some of the games but not all of them, you know? You don't get all the references.
Incoming enemies. Prepare for conflict.
Like my favorite thing back in the Mario movie discussion is I love this part where you know, they're having to run to their plumbing job because their car won't start. And so they do that 2D segment of it basically, and Mario takes the upper path while Luigi takes the lower path because he isn't as confident in himself. And like he ends up walking through wet cement and all that stuff. And Mario keeps like opening the gates for him and all that. And then when he jumps on the little flag, like not flagpole, but like the signpost, it plays the doo 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 type
Yeah.
sound effect. And I was just like, I just remember smiling so hard when that happened. I was just like, oh, that's epic that they did that, even though they didn't have to. That was just awesome.
Yeah, I forgot about that part. That's true. The whole part where they do the job at the
Yeah.
beginning. I was surprised at how much they actually did with the whole beginning scene in Brooklyn.
Yeah. I also love how they have Mayor Pauline, which showed up in Mario Odyssey. They had her show up in
I've got a
the
bad
Brooklyn
feeling
as
about
well. I was like, no way. They actually had her show up in it too. That's crazy. I love that. But my other favorite part is when he's doing the little training level. And afterwards, like, after failing so many times, Princess Toadstool's like trying to give him a little pep talk and goes, hey, at least you almost made it. And he goes, how many times did it take you to do it? And she goes, oh, you know, it took a while. Yeah, it took a while. And he just like sits there for a second. He goes, you did it the first try, didn't you? And she goes, yes, I did. But I grew up here, you know? And he's like, after a while, he just says, you're just trying to cheer me up, aren't you? And she goes, no. Is it working? He goes, a little.
All right, yeah, that was good.
I was just like,
That was a
that's
good
amazing.
exchange,
I love
okay.
that. Yeah.
You know, okay, that is something I like that they kind of like started doing a little bit at certain parts. Is that like they kind of like had, you know, Princess Peach like this, and you know they don't really say a whole lot about her. You just know like, oh, she's like raised here, she's like super good at all this stuff. But then they are kind of like teasing like, oh, there's this backstory that's gonna happen, like involving her at some point, because like there's these like little clue stuff, like, you know, how did she end up in this place? Like, why did she come through the warp pipe? So it feels like eventually they're gonna have this like in some kind of sequel or something, they're gonna actually explain like where it is she came from, and you know, maybe it's from Mario's world, maybe it's from like some other place that we don't really know about.
I also love the quote flirting scene where they're in the
Master,
carts.
we are not alone.
He's talking to her and she's like, so is there anything like this where you come from? And he's like, no. And she's like, really? And he goes, yeah, well, we don't drive on rainbows where I came from. And she goes, well, what about turtles? And he goes, well, actually, they kind of keep them as pets and where I'm from. And she goes, really? And he goes, yeah, if you ever come and visit Brooklyn, I'll get you one. And she kind of looks at him and goes, huh, maybe I'll take you up on that, basically. And then DK drives up and goes, is this you flirting? Oh my God, dude. This is embarrassing to watch. And I was just like, oh my God.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's like, was that flirting? Just love it. It's just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that Donkey Kong stuff is pretty fun. And like when they bring him in, and you know, at first they have Cranky Kong, and it's like, oh god, like I couldn't believe they actually brought Cranky Kong into it. And I thought it was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Right.
And then later on, like they show Donkey Kong, and he's like trying to show off, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm Donkey Kong." And everyone's cheering for him to play the DK rap. Like I just love like how like smug he is, and like how full of
Right.
himself he is at the beginning.
And then I love it when Mario saves his life. He's like, dude, you saved my life. And he's like, yeah, you know, I won't tell anyone. He's like, good, don't. He's like, yes, please, don't tell anyone. And he's like, all right.
Maybe next time. Happy travels, survivor.
Yeah, all that stuff is pretty good with Donkey Kong.
Right.
I forgot that he was even gonna be in it, to be honest. Like I remember reading that at one point, but then like when I was watching the movie, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, Donkey Kong's gonna be in this. I forgot all about that.
I actually felt like it actually added a little bit of character to it instead of just like, yeah, let's just make it only about Mario and Peach. Because I feel like if they would have done it that way, it would have been missing something, in my honest opinion. Because, like, I feel like if it was just Mario Peach against Bowser and all the Toads, I just feel like it would have been too short, and eventually you'd just be like, okay, this is obviously missing something. Like, it feels like there should be a little bit more characters. And I was actually looking at one of the t-shirts I recently bought, and it actually has like the whole Mario crew. It has DK and all that on there, like, you know, from like the Mario Kart series and all that. And I was like, see, that's like how that movie
It's
felt
been
to me.
a
Like,
real
here's
pleasure.
everybody that
You
you
watch
know from
yourself
the
out
Mario verse, you know,
Come back tomorrow.
like every
and get
character
new
you've seen
goods
in every
daily.
Mario game. Let's put them all in one movie as much as we possibly can without overwhelming it, and just see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm glad they at least had some of the other characters in it, like the Donkey Kong and. Let's see, was there anything else like that? I'm trying to remember. I think Donkey Kong was like basically the main big thing.
The one thing that cracked me
It's
up was
mostly
the
related to
Luma.
Mario anyway. They had a what?
Luma made me laugh. They had a Luma in it at one point, like the little glowing creatures from Galaxy. You know, Mario Galaxy?
I didn't. Okay, I played Mario Galaxy, but not that much. What? The Luma's a what again? A glowing thing?
They're the glowing star creatures that you feed star bits to.
So which character was that? Just remind me.
It's the one that was a ball of sunshine, basically. Like, they would always say stuff like, when they said, oh, it'd be so nice to see the sun again, and they say something like, the sun's just a concept of your imagination.
Oh, so like the
something
creep.
like that.
Okay, yeah, that creepy like depressed creature, like the star thing. That was okay. I know what you're talking about now.
That's a Luma.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And
I was like, oh, this thing's
the
like
funny
funny,
thing
but
is-
I didn't know what it was.
the funny thing is, like, they're
Safe
actually
travels.
usually like joyful, wonderful creatures, but I'm sure that one's probably been locked up for so long that it's just like, you know, at this point, life is meaningless. Let's just sit here and depress everybody because we're already depressed ourselves.
Yeah, that was amusing. That thing trying to like basically scare Luigi constantly. Like, yeah, we're all gonna die here.
Yeah. I do like, though, how they used the Luigi from the Luigi Mansion, you know, the one that's always terrified, instead of the one that you know from the other Mario games that's just like, yeah, I'll do this, whatever, I don't mind. I'm not scared at all. Like, I think in the Subspace Imagery, which was in Smash Bros. Melee, was that the one that had that story mode or whatever? I think in that one he was like a little terrified of things, but like he could still probably hold his own in a fight if absolutely necessary, you know? And that's what I love, like at the very end of the movie when he and I'm sorry if people haven't seen it yet. I'm sure everyone here has. But if you haven't seen it, this is a major spoiler, so you know, just. But like, there's this part where Bowser breathes fire at Mario, and the next thing he knows, he looks up, and Luigi's holding up a manhole cover to protect him, and he just looks at him. He's like, "Bro, like, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Mario, you just gotta get to the star. Like, I'll protect you. Just, you know, just go." And he's like, and he looks at him. He goes, "No, you and I are gonna do this together." And he reaches his hand out, you know, and grabs hold of him and like quickly takes him out of the way of the fire. And I was like, hell yeah. See, that's awesome right there.
You know what's funny? I'm still reading the because I have it up on my laptop, the like Zelda game stuff. I was just looking. So they say that with like the child Link, whatever this is. So we talked about that, then we got distracted by other stuff. That like Twilight Princess follows that for some reason as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Because in Twilight Princess, Link is a like either young adult or teenager. I don't know exactly what he's supposed to be in that. Huh.
Yeah. In Twilight Princess, he's supposed to be like, I guess either like, I would say like late teens or, you know, early 20s or something. Probably late teens if I had to guess. Yeah.
I still love though in Twilight Princess when the kids ask you to like show off your wooden sword and all that, like do these moves, and they're like, oh my god, that's so amazing.
Well, look,
And then
the cat
that
dragged in.
female character's like, oh Link, you're so amazing, and like people still talk about how creepy that scene was.
Yeah, I think we joked around about that when we were playing the game, because that was like the first Let's Play thing we did. And then there's like the little kid who's being like all weird about it, because there's the one that looks like a baby.
The demon baby one is what they made fun of him in memes.
And you came all this way. What a waste.
Yeah, so it, like the child timeline is Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and then Four Swords Adventures.
Oh, okay.
Those are like weird games to follow from that. And then the third timeline is the adult timeline when Ganon is sealed away. So that's like the normal ending of the game, basically, right?
Yeah. I wonder where Minish Cap falls in on those, because...
Well, it's before the timeline splits.
Yeah. I need to play that game again, because that game was interesting.
Okay, yeah, this is why people think this is weird, right? Because they say that after the adult timeline, when like Link seals up Ganon normally or whatever, that's the timeline where Wind Waker takes place. And I think most people assumed that Wind Waker took place because Link traveled to the Majora's Mask place.
Oh, okay.
Right? Wasn't that what they thought?
That makes, yeah, I think that makes more sense. Because, if I remember right, Wind Waker does make references to Ocarina of Time.
And they talk about how like Link left Hyrule for some reason.
Yeah, but it doesn't explain 100% about Majora's Mask. It just says he left like the place that made him a hero.
Yeah.
And so if you interpret it, you're just like, oh wait, is that about when he left and went to what was it?
Terminix.
Yeah, Termina.
That's right.
Yeah. And if you follow that logic, then yeah, it makes more sense that you know, he left to go.
Yeah, because like I think they even show like in the beginning of Wind Waker, there's like a mural they show, and like in it, Link is like riding on his horse into the forest, and that's basically how Majora's Mask began. He goes in the forest, and then he gets teleported. Or if you're like into like the morbid theories, the theories that like Link died in the forest or got turned to a Stalfos, and everything in Majora's Mask was actually like a dream of his or whatever while he was dying.
It makes you wonder though, because like, remember how in Ocarina of Time, they said people who turned into Stalfos were people who weren't from the forest. So that logic kind of makes no sense because if he turned into a Stalfos, like, how did he turn into a Stalfos, you know? Like,
I
is it
mean,
because
yeah, they don't really explain how it works in the game itself, right? They only have that one scene where that one character is like in the forest at one point, and he like asks you for help. He's like,
Master,
like,
we are not alone.
I need like a potion or whatever for my grandmother because like I'm sick or whatever. Oh, there's
Right.
zombies in the base, Mike. They're in the what is it? The garden area. How'd they get
boy.
here? Are you home?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, they're breaking in. They must have been coming after you, Shadowcat. They're breaking in. Yeah, they made a hole here. I hear someone else smacking around somewhere. Where's he?
Ain't that just a bitch?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Well, that's it for now. Nope, I hear someone else. Smacking something. Is it this way? No, I think it's the other side. Something's hard to place where the movement's coming from. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I mean, they didn't get in the base itself, but they found a way to get through some of the walls. Luckily, we have like multiple layers of walls at this point, so it's not easy for them to
Right.
actually get in.
Back on the topic of the theory of Link dying, though, my
Sure.
favorite thing to that is how they say each corner of Clocktown represents the stages of dying, basically, like how they say, you know, there's, what is it? I'm trying to remember what they all are. I know one of them is grief, but I'm trying to remember. It's like when you go to the Deku Palace, like everyone's acting like panicky and all that about what's going on, and they say that's supposed to be like the rejection or whatever, like
Yeah,
Like,
so
oh,
the
no.
stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance.
right. Each one of the cardinal directions are part of each one, and I was like, the first time I heard that, I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like, where'd they come up with that?
I'm trying to think of how that would work exactly. Like, so the first one would be the Deku Palace? That's supposed to be like denial? Huh.
I mean, I guess it could be because, I mean, in a way, they deny that the monkey was not responsible, even though it's clearly obvious that he wasn't. Because, I mean, he, you know, didn't kidnap the princess. Like, he just was hanging out with her.
It's just in the
At
wrong
one
place at the
point.
wrong time.
Yeah, exactly. And since he kept denying it over and over and over again, that could be denial, I guess.
Oh, I guess so. And then, so the next one would be anger. And the second one you go to in Majora's Mask would be the mountaintop? The Goron, like, place, right?
Yeah, but they're not angry. They're not angry. They're like,
Yeah, that's more like, I guess, grief or mourning?
yeah, I would say more grief because they're all they're all sad that their leader died and all that. So I would say that's more grief than anger. Trying to think of which one would be. Oh, I know which one's anger.
Oh, wait.
Anger
Hold
is-
on. Fantron is saying that the first stage is actually Clocktown itself. And, okay,
Oh,
so you
denial
mean
is
like
Clocktown, yeah.
Fantron, I think I know. Fantron's saying it's the Clocktown is denial because they're all in denial about the moon falling. Like you have
Right.
the construction people arguing, and they're like they want to keep working. Like they don't want they don't want to get laid off, so they don't want them to cancel the fair. That makes sense. And then the monkey would be anger. They're angry at the monkey because they think he kidnapped the daughter.
I know you could also say, didn't they say that the spirits and
I mean, this is almost like you can kind of apply this to anything, I guess. Like,
right,
it almost seems like reaching with some of the stuff.
right. Oh yeah, the drawbridge is down too. That might have how they got in.
No, they didn't get in. They were in like the garden area, so they didn't come in that
Oh.
way.
Just
But yeah, we
making
should
sure.
probably Mike.
But yeah, what?
I was able to turn it up from like all the way over there. I don't think you noticed.
Oh,
You can actually access the bridge from far away.
Incoming enemies. Prepare for conflict.
Oh, someone else is coming.
cool.
I've got a bad
All
feeling
right.
about this.
Nice one.
And we got another. So wait, then the
You're badass.
what did we go with? Okay, so we're saying the monkey and the Deku stuff would be anger,
Yeah.
and then so that would mean the mountain would be bargaining. Okay, well I don't see how that'd be bargaining then. I guess.
I still say the mountain would be grief because,
All right, well technically we're talking about the stages of grief, so I guess like grief is involved in all of them to some extent.
oh yes, bargaining would make sense because they bargain about their leader being dead. And then when you come in as the leader, that actually makes them kind of feel better. So that could be bargaining. Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah. I was sticking like being stubborn about the stages in my mind. As we do. But
Maybe.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
All right, and the ocean would be the third one, and that's supposed to be depression.
Yeah, because that makes sense because she's depressed that her eggs got stolen, and he's depressed because he failed to rescue them. So I could see that.
I guess so, but you could also say like depression could apply to almost any of those parts, right? Like it could
Right.
that could also apply to the mountain that like it's depression over the guy dying and like the kid is crying because he lost his father or whatever. Like his father won't come back to him.
Right. I mean, the Song of Storms in that could be considered kind of depressing as well because it's supposed to be when he says like it's the sound like it's a song of like
Oh, wow.
the rain is my tears falling from the sky, and like you could say that's depression too,
I could see it. Well, anyway, so the last place would be acceptance, and that would be the what do you call it? What's the last place you call it?
Stone Tower?
Yeah.
No, wait,
No.
is that? Yeah, I think that's the last one. I mean, like, there's like after you defeat those soldiers, they do actually say that they know that they're gone, and like
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay,
yeah,
that
they
yeah,
say
that
to
makes
you,
sense.
they're like, thanks for letting us know that our war is over. Go and calm the rest of the restless spirits around here for us and our steed, because like when you defeat the two fighting soldiers in front of the captain guy, he looks at you and he goes, huh, you're basically here to tell us that we've been dead this whole time, and yet we've been stubbornly staying alive and fighting this whole time because we don't want to accept that we lost, basically. Because like after you defeat all three of them, he sits there and tells them, he says to him, he's like, hey, we need to stop fighting now and just move on. And then they vanish. and then he says, "Thank you for your help, you know, helping us find ourselves at this point." And I was like, yeah, that makes a lot more sense that that's acceptance then, because they're like, yeah, just go and tell everybody else, like all the Stalfos and all that. Which if you try, they don't listen to you anyway. Even as, you know, what was the captain's name in that? It's oh goodness, Heaton, yeah, or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. I think so.
Yeah. And when you walk up to him with the mask on at first before you defeat him, he's like, "But you're so tiny."
Oh man, we have a lot of medical stuff.
Yeah, I just love it. It's just like, because he's like, "Yeah, nice try trying to, you know, fool me with that mask."
Yeah,
Like,
I
well, you
remember that was like a
almost
cool
got
thing you
it.
could do if you wore the mask. Like he would actually have a reaction. That was like a nice little touch.
The other funny thing though is if you wore the Bremen mask, they would dance along with you, even though that made no sense.
Yeah, there's some dancing, huh?
Yeah, like they would stare at each other at first, and then as you started marching along, they would dance behind you. And I was like, that's a nice touch too. Like, even though it doesn't accomplish anything, it was fun to see that, you know? It was one of those things that after you saw it, you were like, okay, this is clever. I'm going to do this every time I play the game from now on, because that's just too funny.
Yeah, I think I remember reading about that in like the Nintendo magazine or like the companion guide to it or whatever.
Right.
The treasure map? Oh, if you have a treasure map, you can either use it yourself or I don't know, you can put it wherever you want. The
Usually
treasure maps,
depending on where depending on where you found it or where you use it, that's where it'll appear. And it always appears about, I think it's maximum of, you know, kilometers away, or like, you know, it's like 5 kilometers or less, or it could be something as far away as like 500 meters. So it just kind of depends on how lucky you get with it.
Oh, by the way, I just wanted to also say thanks to everyone who liked the stream, because we did get 3 likes on this already. Usually I don't even mention it, but I was just noting and I wanted to thank you guys. Pretty cool.
I'll put it under reading.
You know, I'm thinking about that whole stuff with this whole Majora's Mask thing. It is interesting about how that works out. I do kind of feel like a lot of these things you could, you know, kind of fit into a lot of different games if you were kind of look at it deep enough, I suppose.
Oh yeah. Like if
But
you
it's
wanna put
it's definitely a fun theory, I have to say.
what is it called? Philosophy or something like what is the study of like where stuff gets really deep, as they call it? Philosophical?
Philosophical?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. And like, I know people say, games aren't philosophical, but it's like, well, games also sometimes
Oh,
have
okay,
morals.
Shadowcat. Well, you know, have fun with your family, of course. It was good having you here. And, yeah, hopefully you get to stop by again. You know, you don't have to feel obligated to do the organizational all the time. If there's anything else you want to do in the game, feel free to do that whenever you stop by again. But, yeah, take care now.
Thanks, Shadow, we appreciate you.
Ciao. I kind of feel like maybe if they update the game, they can make the text look a little bit easier to read in the text box there, because it's hard to read sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially if like
it's
you're on a
Comic
white
Sans,
background.
That's what it is.
It's a Comic Sans.
Oh my god, speaking of that, my favorite meme I just read online was like recently, it was like the demon looking inside of my soul, like trying to find my weakness, and instead it goes, holy shit, it's real fucked up in here. And the person goes, yeah, it is, I'm sorry about that. And they're like, how is everything in here in Comic Sans?
Wait,
I
why
was
is
just
there a
like,
clay
oh
soil
my
in the
God.
output of the forge?
Good question. Maybe I put it in there by accident.
Oh, well, whatever.
Oh,
What's up?
weird. I was just looking to see what happened. Okay.
Oh, I moved it
So
around
we
already.
need to- these.
Oh, these are the
Whatnot.
solar cells you have?
Yeah, I put them in there.
Oh, I guess I could try putting this on the roof, see what it does. See if it works. Especially because it's nighttime right now. Oh, Mike, have you heard about like all this stuff they're doing now with these like electric cars? They're gonna be making it so like you have to drive an electric car, and I forget when they said it was gonna be, like in 2035 or whatever.
I've heard nothing but bitching about, like, you know how I told you about my dad and like how he watches all those like YouTube things. One of the things that he's been watching is this guy named Scotty on there who has been talking about how
Scotty
electrical
Kilmer,
cars are
right?
doomed. Yeah,
Yeah, I've seen it.
are basically doomed to fail. And his reasoning is because he was saying they're just not powerful enough for what we need them for, and so they're just never ever going to work, you know, because there's just too many what do you call it, variables that are against them. And I was like, yeah, I see what you're talking about.
Something that was funny that I like heard about recently. Well, not funny because I think there's actually like people like ended up dying maybe or like getting hurt.
Yeah.
But there was a parking garage, and they said that it ended up collapsing. And like one of the reasons they say is apparently this like the stuff with the electric cars is they actually weigh a lot more than normal cars because of the batteries. And they're saying like this is going to be like a big problem they need to like work on if they're going to have everyone driving them, because like they're going to be heavier, and like any buildings that like they like end up going in like that are multi-level stories, like it could put additional stress on the buildings, and it could also be like an issue with bridges that they have to go across, because now bridges are got to carry like a heavier load if they're like a commonplace. That's just something interesting that I read about recently. Yeah, go ahead.
That reminds me of this story I read where this person was driving down a highway with like one of those oversized load vehicles, right? And they had already thought they had pre-measured all the bridges that they were going to go under. And then they come up to one of the bridges and just slam into it with their rig. And it damages the hell out of the rig. Like, it's completely scrapped. Like, they're going to have to replace the whole thing, is what it says in the story. And when they go up and, like, measure the bridge, it turns out the measurement on it was wrong.
Oh, God.
And they look down at the road, and it turns out the reason why is because the road people got lazy and just put fresh asphalt over the old stuff instead of scraping it up.
Well, I would do it.
And so they just kept doing that over and over again, making it smaller and smaller on the road until the measurement didn't count anymore. And so it turned out that the person who reported that ended up getting those workers in trouble because they said, wait a minute, we got to investigate this. And so they went and talked to those workers, and they said, is this true that you guys took shortcuts and just, you know, put the new road over the old? And they're like,
well,
yeah. And they're like, yeah, you guys are idiots. You guys are going to end up having to spend a lot of money in fines. It's like, oh my goodness.
Yep. Yeah, that's what happens a lot of times. People do get lazy and they want to take the cheaper way of doing things.
Oh, of course. Why do the job right the first time when you can do it wrong?
Well, one of the things they want to do here now that's also really stupid is they want to make it so you can't use gas stoves anymore for your cooking.
See, I'm against that because I feel like electric stoves do not cook properly. At least in my opinion.
Yeah, I've never had one.
Every time I've ever had to use one, we either had such an issue with it that it caused problems with how the food was cooked, or it would fluctuate too much and the food would come out either partially uncooked and partially burnt.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like how they used to say with what was it? Hot Pockets used to have that problem all the time when microwaved. You
Yeah.
know, so it's like the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've like never really used one of the electric stoves, but I've I think maybe my aunt had one. That's about all I can think of.
I mean, what I've always heard of is that people aren't used to how they work. And so some people have actually set their house on fire with them because they will try to, you know, put something on top of it like they would on a gas stove and just leave it there. And the next thing they know, it just melts to it and then sets the whole house on fire.
Jeez. Or I also heard that
Yeah.
like people will not like realize it's on, they'll accidentally touch the thing, and then they completely
burn
burn their
themselves.
hand. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, you know, you always get this. You know, the government always thinks they know best about everything and say like, "Oh, you have to do things this way now," even if it doesn't really make any sense for you.
If you don't mind me asking, does your house have a kitchen island, like the little thing in the middle of the kitchen?
Oh no, it's actually not like big enough that it has that sort of thing. No.
Ah, cool. Most of my buddies at work, I was talking about how I think they're overrated and kind of silly to have. And most of my friends who do have them said, "Ah, Michael, you just don't understand. Like, they're amazing. Like, you absolutely want one." I was like, "But why?" And they're like, "Well, they're really good for do that on a countertop." They're like, "No, no, no. See, okay." Like, and they're trying to like come up with an argument that makes sense, and like the whole time I'm just sitting there like, I'm waiting. Like, go ahead, keep going. Like, convince me. I'm curious. And every argument they came up with, I was just like, see, like that's just not doing it for me. I'm just like, and it's like I can see where you're trying to go with this, but overall, it just seems like you're just making excuses for why you like it. But why other people wouldn't like it is because of like all these other negatives, and you're not considering those, you know? At least that's my opinion of it.
Yeah, I would say I actually wouldn't mind having additional room sometimes, because when you're making certain things, you kind of need like extra, you know, countertop room to work with. So like,
Oh yeah, exactly.
if like the kitchen was actually bigger, it would actually be nice having something that like kind of in the middle or something that like gives you more room to like put things on and, you know, have a side.
Like, for example, my sister-in-law has one. And in her house, it works because there's plenty of room to walk around it and all that. But there's some houses, like, I recently started going around and looking at houses just kind of to see what's changed differently from, like, the last time I did, like, back before we got the house we live in now. I've noticed that a lot of modern houses have kitchen islands. But the way they design them, whoa. It almost feels like they didn't consider that you would have to walk around it, or if they did, they put too much room around it. And so it just feels out of place in the kitchen to me. And one
Yeah, I
of my
see what you
friends
mean.
like feels the same way. Like, they were like, well, it just feels like if you have a kitchen island, it's just going to be more in the way than it's going to be, you know, benefit, unless you have the perfect amount of room for when there's multiple people in the kitchen, they're not going to be like bumping into each other.
So what kind of kitchen, like you have a kitchen that's like big enough that you kind of like eat in, or is it just like a smaller one and you eat in like a dining room or living room or whatever?
So at my house right now, our kitchen is
Oh.
big enough for like 2 people to be in it comfortably.
Yeah.
Any more than that, it starts getting crowded.
It's probably about the
So-
same size as mine then.
So if we had a kitchen island in ours,
Yeah.
there wouldn't be much room
No.
at all.
No, you couldn't put
But
one
there's
in.
plenty of countertop top space and all that for food prep, so it's not like a problem. Like, you know, I think I've mentioned this before, but my dad does most of the cooking in like my household. And so I asked him, I was like, hey, if the kitchen was big enough, for example, because that's what everyone talks about, if you had a kitchen island, would you actually like it, or would you think that it's kind of like a waste? And he actually said that, in his opinion, he would kind of consider it a little bit of a waste, because he's like, I just use countertop space for most of my prep stuff for cooking. And so for me, if I had a, you know, kitchen island, I feel like it would be a little bit overdone, so to speak. And I was like, I can see that. I understand what you mean.
Yeah. The thing is, we have like a lot of extra stuff that like goes on, like the kitchen cabinets that kind of like take up room. Like the countertops, there's like a little like a small like toaster oven we have, and then there's also like we pretty much keep the regular toaster like around there too. So you know that like takes up a bit of room. I don't know, like I wouldn't necessarily need like a kitchen island or whatever, but you know, sometimes I'm like, oh, it would be nice if there's like a little bit of extra room here.
Right.
But I mean, the room itself just doesn't have enough extra room for that kind of stuff. Oh, and also like there's a you know, a Keurig too that's constantly on the countertop, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you could put the stuff away, but it's like it's just easier to keep it out there. Like you don't want to carry stuff out back and forth when you want to use them.
Exactly.
Yeah, luckily, of course, the microwave is, you know, pretty much like it's installed on top of the stove. Like it hangs from above.
Yeah. That's
Like-
how it is in our house.
Like years and years ago, and I'm talking about like, you know, when I was a kid, like back then you didn't really have microwaves like that. You know, they had to go on the countertop pretty much.
Right.
Or at least maybe like we didn't have one like that when I was a kid anyway. Maybe you could have gotten one back in the day. Oh no, I think uh-oh. No, maybe it's just the one. Okay, there's one chest that's jammed. And I think Shadowcat must have made it.
Oh.
But it looks like it's just the one, so it's not that big of a deal. Oh well. It's just for mods anyway. I don't really need them.
Oh yeah, I saw it up here.
I usually forget that as well, so I can't really blame Shadowcat.
Right.
Alright, it's daytime in the game. I wonder if the stores have restocked yet. I should probably take a look. So I was looking earlier in the stream, but like they didn't have anything special. So I think maybe they had old inventory. Let's just go next door. Oh, what the hell? The game's a little bit... I wonder if it's because of the update. Hey, Mike, do you want to come out here just for a second where I am? It's like going towards the trader.
Uh-huh.
Do you notice anything weird about this in your game?
The water's not as janky looking as it was.
Oh, do you have my stream up? Look at my stream.
Oh, it's gone in your stream.
Yeah. I guess my game just is a little bit glitched right now. Oh well. It was funny that in your game it looks less janky, and in my game it looks more janky.
Yeah, mine it actually looks like they fixed most of the problems with the water. At least on mine, I don't know how.
You need assistance?
Cause like,
Well,
didn't it
figures.
say
Sorry, I didn't
they
have what
wanted
you
to
needed.
fix
Come
most of
back
the water
soon. We
problems
restock
or
often.
something? Like, I remember
Probably.
that being a thing. Yeah.
No, I guess I didn't get anything new.
Oh, my apologies. Check back again, and I may
That
have
moment when you forget that your guy had a broken arm and you just start power swinging at everything, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to do that.
Oh, it got a little bit more normal now. For me. At least more of it's showing.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah, my character broke
you
his arm
go-
earlier too. That's right.
You know, another thing, back to the Legend of Zelda talk. My favorite
Yeah,
thing
sure.
in Link to the Past was at the very end of the game when you put the Master Sword back, apparently, right? My favorite thing about that arguments that people made is that you could change the Master Sword in that game to the Tempered Sword and then the Gold Sword, right? But at the
Yeah.
very end of the game, it turns back into the Master Sword, and then it says the Master Sword sleeps forever. I remember at the time when that game came out, it made sense because it's like, yeah, it's like okay, there wasn't any other games at the time, so yeah, I can see what they mean by that. Yeah, okay. But then as more games came out, it's like, no, it didn't. They used it again in the next game.
Yeah, they use it constantly.
Yeah.
Oh, let me see now. Since I had I still have it up in another tab, I think. Yeah. Okay, so they say a Link to the Past now took place in this one, and then. Well, okay. So I don't know. A Link Between Worlds, did that have the Master Sword in it?
Link Between Worlds. Yes, it did have
Okay.
a Master Sword in it, I believe.
Because, yeah, that one would have it then.
The only one that, like, it had a sword similar to it, but it was called the Four Sword, and that was the Minish Cap. It wasn't the Master Sword, it was called the Four Sword, and it splits you into 4 shadows of yourself. That one, the sword in the end ended up looking more like a,
Do you remember if you
Gilded
eventually get the Master Sword in the Oracle games?
you can in one of them.
Okay. So that would contradict it,
I
too.
remember. Yeah, because I remember you get this thing called the Master Sword. I think it was either. It's the first. I think it's like the second one you play in the. Because you know how you could link them together after a while and
Yep,
you
yep.
could bring weapons? Yeah. So I remember in the first one you play, you only get like a level 2 sword, which I don't remember what the name of it was. But then the second one, you get the Master Sword at some point.
Yeah, I thought so.
And then you also get the big on Goron sword that you get from Ocarina of Time in that game, and you have to use it on both buttons. And it's a 2-handed weapon, and so it's slower.
You do get that one there?
Yeah, you get
Huh.
that as well at some point in the game too.
All right,
which is
forgot about that.
hilarious. Yeah. It was one of those like funny little things that they added.
Yeah, and then funny enough, they have the regular one take place, like the regular Legend of Zelda. And do you consider that to be the Master Sword in that game? Because they don't really call it that, do they?
And Link's Awakening, the one where
No, just the regular
they call
Legend of
the-
Zelda, the first one.
Oh yeah, they call it the White Sword, or the Magic Sword. No, that's what they call it. They call it the Magic Sword in that one. Yeah, I don't consider that the Master Sword in that. I don't even know what that's considered in that game. And then of course, if you count Zelda 2, he only has his normal sword the entire time, so you never get another sword in that game.
Yeah, you just upgrade Link himself in that one.
Yeah. And then, let's see. Link's Awakening, you get this thing called a Noble Sword. And it looks nothing like the Master Sword either. So you could say that. It's another game that doesn't have it. Hmm.
Yeah, I guess that about sums it up. Like the
Yeah,
earlier
pretty
games,
much,
they
I can't
called it
think of-
something different. Like you said, with like the Minish Cap, they called it something else or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, even in Breath of the Wild, you get the Master Sword, but I just think it's so funny how it runs out of energy.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that you
that's pretty
can't use it
stupid.
all the time. I was just like, really?
Well, yeah, the sword just runs out of energy. Well, that's great. What a master of swords this is.
Which I can't remember if people said they're going to put durability in the game or not. 'Cause I think
Really?
there was like a debate about it.
They probably will.
Yeah. I mean, I love their argument, though, as to why they put it in the game. They said, well, we don't want you to use the same weapon for the entire game. And I was like, but that doesn't make sense because that's what you used to do all the time in the previous games anyway. So, like, that just seems like nitpicking to me at this point.
Yeah, and also kind of feels like, so at the end of the Breath of the Wild, Link has the Master Sword already. So like, why would he ever get rid of that? Like, wouldn't you start off with
Right.
it technically?
Exactly.
Because it's not like Ocarina of Time where he had to put it back to go back to being a child.
Right.
At least in that one, it's
Which
like
I
kind of
love-
explained why he does it.
I also love the little theories that people came up with for why you know, Link was able to leave and all that. It's because I think we talked about this a little bit back in the day, but I don't know if you remember. But my favorite thing is like we were talking about how when Link leaves, he warned everyone ahead of time. He's like, "Oh, hey, by the way, keep an eye on Ganondorf because he's gonna do something evil later on." And they just like supposedly take his word for it. And I'm just like, you're right. Like you're telling this like Prince of Persia did this really well. I don't know if you remember those games.
No, I didn't play
But in
them.
those games, yeah. So in those games, apparently it's one of those like story-driven games where like the guy's telling the story, and every time you mess up or die, like he goes, "Actually, that's what would have happened if I did die, but I didn't. So we're gonna go back, or whatever."
All right, that's
right?
kind of cute. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what they added in that game to kind of make fun of you messing up. Like they would be just like, yeah, that didn't happen. Let me go back and try again." And like so the whole time you find out that somebody is telling your story the whole time you're playing through the game.
It's like in the end, it's like How I Met Your Mother or whatever.
Yeah, pretty much. And so at the very end of the game, you find out that he's telling this story to this princess that he wants to get with. And at the very end of it, she goes, "Wow, what a story." And he goes, "But no, it's..." And he's like,
I just imagine
Yes.
like the real ending of the game is just like the prince is just like, "Wow, cool story, bro," and that's the end right there.
yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Like, that's exactly what it was. And I remember me and my brother played it. And when we saw that, we were like, wait, what? You mean we went through this whole entire game fighting all of these, like, horribly difficult enemies and bosses. And the ending is literally, "Yep, cool story, bro. You know, bye." I mean, it's kind of like Mario 2 in a way, where you find out that Mario was dreaming the whole time,
Yeah.
and that none of it like happened, and you're just like, oh, so that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, so weird. That was a weird choice for that game.
Yep. Like in a way, I want to say, oh yeah, I understand why they did that, blah blah blah. But really, you can't really say that because it's like, oh, so it was a whole dream. Like I didn't do any of that stuff that I did. Well, Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny about that? Like, that's the game where they introduced like a bunch of things as well that were like new to the Mario series. So it's like Mario just happened to dream
Right.
about a bunch of stuff that actually exists later on in the other games.
Right. I also love how in the Mario Maker game they actually made references to Mario 2 because they realized that people did enjoy that game at least a little bit. And like one of the things you can put in Mario Maker 2 is the Super Mario Bros. 2 mushroom that turns you into the Mario that's able to ride on things instead of like, you know, jumping on it.
Thank you.
And I was like, okay, that's clever. Like, whoever came up with this, they at least knew what they were doing because, like, they didn't have to put that in, you know? They could have just said, oh, yeah, like, yeah, the game's just gonna work the way it's gonna work.
Gratitude, friend.
But no, they were like, yeah, we know that people want to do this or whatever, so yeah, we'll put this in the game. Why not?
Do you have a military helmet level 6? Or is it like a level
I think
5 or
so.
something? Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, it's level 6. Which, speaking of, I need to repair it.
Oh, I got a second auto shotgun now.
Nice. Good, let's go
If
to
we
the
ain't got what
trader
you're
and
looking for, we
turn
can
our
get it.
quest real quick.
Would you kindly help me with a little problem? Well, I can't say I'm not disappointed, but I still like you. I've got just the
Level
task
5
for
steel
you.
helmet,
Come back if you change your
ergonomic
mind.
grip mod, and pump shotgun
I'm a
level
bit of a
4.
cripple. The pleasure was all
Which
mine.
mine
If
is
you
level
take
4,
care of
so
that,
that's
sorry,
all
I didn't
useless
have what you needed. Come back soon. I really
let's
admire
take the
you,
steel helmet and
friend.
sell it
And
to you.
no need to apologize. I'll check. I could really use. Well, I can't say it. I like you, friend. No matter what, I'm grateful for everything you've done.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Auto trader.
You go to the restroom.
Thanks,
real quick.
anyways.
Alright, see you soon. Well, not really. Okay, let's see here. What should I do now? It is funny how the longer I play this game, the more I kind of just, mostly doing these streams just to kind of just talk and, feel everything in the game's kind of just like background noise or whatever, if you want to call it that. You know, since I'm all the way up here, I might look around in the wasteland a little bit, see if I could find anything new. So we haven't actually explored all this, have we? Oh, this might be the end of the map anyway. Yeah, this is like the ocean. Does the fog go away if I'm in the ocean? Because maybe I'll actually be able to look around a little bit easier. Not really, and I don't want to get radiated, so I should probably head back. Alright, well I'm gonna guess there's not really much else out here. But maybe I'll just circle around nonetheless. Oh, and I'm not sure who is still with me at this point. But I'll mention it here, and I'll probably mention it on Discord as well. But I still have to finish up the bonus extra ending of Orphan. I should have mentioned it because Shadowcat was watching them. and I was gonna ask Shadowcat about it, but oh wait, is this a trader? Oh no, that's just like a little military camp. Never mind. But yeah, I was gonna see if Shadowcat was interested in me doing that. Maybe I'll just do it tomorrow and finish it up real quick.
I love how every now and then when I come back, I see your 2 drones following you, and I think they're birds.
Yeah, I've heard people get confused by them. It only happened a few times to me, really. I guess I've gotten pretty used to them.
Right.
Well, yep, I don't really see much out here. I was just curious if there's like another hidden town out all the way in the wasteland.
Right.
Oh, it does head a little bit more north out this way. So maybe there's something. Oh, it actually gets a lot more mountainous out here for some reason. I wasn't expecting that.
Right.
I'm just gonna stick to exploring the coastline, I guess. Oh, it just suddenly ends here. That's weird. Oh, yep, now we're in deadly radiation. Just out of nowhere.
Right.
Come on, game. I like how the game like doesn't tell you you're in the deadly radiation zone until you're like in it several like feet. So it like takes a while to get back out of it.
Right. At least the good thing about it is that it doesn't kill you as fast as it did before.
Nah. Very generous of them.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike, here's a funny idea. What would you do if they like updated 7 Days to Die in like version Alpha 21 or whatever, maybe like 22 even, and so instead they add in basically like a Fortnite or like other game like that mode.
Where like it's
Yeah,
rush
like you're
in and just kill each other.
Yeah, and like the radiation zone changes as you're playing, gets smaller and
Oh my
smaller.
god.
Because that's kind of like what it is in the other games.
I thought they were gonna do that at one point.
Really?
They made it sound like, yeah, I thought they were gonna make it where at some point you'd have to have like a last stand. That's like what the game makes it sound like, you know? Like if you take the game's title literally, it almost sounds like on the 7th day that an unstoppable force that you just like fight until you die is gonna come up. Which
Yeah.
sounds cool in theory, but at the same time it'd be a really boring game.
Yeah, it would end really quickly, huh?
Right?
Well, I guess if you turn up the difficulty really high, that's kind of what happens. You know, you get people who do those challenge runs like that. Put the game
Yeah.
on maximum difficulty, all the handicaps applied that make it even harder for you.
I told you about that one where it's like they put it where every entity in the game can take you out in one hit. And I was like, dude, that just sounds stupid. Like, why even bother? Like, it made it where, like, the crawlers were, like, the most dangerous enemy in the game because, you know, it's almost impossible to hit them with melee without them, like, hitting you. And so you had to get, like, either a bow or a gun as early as possible, or you were being taken out by everything.
Master, we are not
Basically.
alone.
Yeah, I've mentioned it before, I don't really go for like the extreme challenge runs in anything. I just kind of end up getting bored in most of those games.
I don't know if I mentioned it, but I am actually impressed that my Legend of the Gaia challenge run of, not using weapons is actually hitting a point where it's actually getting harder. Because there are certain
Ooh.
enemies that they actually tell you to take out as fast as possible, otherwise they get very dangerous. And I actually almost did lose against one of the boss fights because of that, and I was like, see, that's how a challenge run's supposed to go, where it's like, you're like, okay, so now I have it where I can actually get into a fight that's dangerous, and that's awesome. That's the way it's supposed to be.
I still say the most challenging part of the game these days is the fog, especially when I'm flying this gyrocopter around or trying to fly it. I am curious though, even though we kind of talked about like the stuff we were nervous about for the new version, if they'll kind of improve the graphics again, where like maybe the fog won't make it so impossible to see. Like that'd be nice if the it's kind of like a more subtle fog maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just being like a wall of can't see through anything.
Yeah, we're not playing Silent Hill here.
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, I wonder if they're gonna do anything else with those games. Have they said anything?
What was the last thing I heard about Silent Hill? The last thing I heard about it was that, I'm trying to think of the word for it, like controversial one that came out. That one that's like you literally going through a hallway over and over again, but it gets like more and more psychologically terrifying each time.
Yeah.
That was the last one I heard about, and since then they haven't mentioned anything about it.
The funny thing was,
point.
that's like, oh man, is that like, that might even be like 10 years old when that thing came out.
Yeah.
Because what happened is like they were gonna make it, but then they canceled it, and then everyone was upset.
I still remember when they made a petition for it to be released after all, and they're like, "Look, you little weirdos, stop asking. It's never coming back." And they're like, "Even if we made like a GoFundMe or whatever," and they're like, "No, it doesn't matter how much money you give us or anything. We're not making that game." And people were just like, "Wow, okay."
Yeah, the whole thing was very strange.
I mean, I remember that somebody actually made a game similar to it anyway, so it's like not a complete lost cause.
Yeah, I haven't like really read up about that in some time, like what's going on with all that stuff. Because like it was Konami. And the thing about it was, so like all that stuff happened around the same time, right? Like they got rid of the Silent Hills thing. And then like they ended up firing Kojima, who is like making the Metal Gear games. And like everyone was saying like at the time they like didn't want to really make games anymore. They wanted to instead make like the gambling pachinko machines or whatever. And then make money basically doing that. And like I said, it's been like about, I guess maybe like close to 8 years of that going on or so. So I wonder like, are they going to eventually go back and like be like, okay, maybe we should make these games again? Or are they just going to like stay out of that entirely from now on?
I just finished watching a video for the stream, and it was talking about the Xbox One and how like it ended up being like a colossal failure in their eyes because of all the bull crap that they ended up doing with it. Like, you remember how back when that thing was released, they said, "Oh, if you buy a physical copy of a game, we're gonna make sure that you can't, share it with your friends or whatever," right? And people were just like,
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and people were like, "No, you're not doing that." And they're like, "Yes, we are. Watch." And they did it. And people were just like, "Wait, why would you do this? Like, I don't understand."
And I think they did have to end up like not doing that because everyone was like not going to buy the system. So I think they did eventually back off. You know, this actually brings up something I was actually thinking about like recently. So, what do you think is like the future with games? Because the way I'm looking at things, I was thinking today, video games are kind of like the last thing that people like actually go out and buy on their own these days. Because when you think about stuff like movies and like TV, like everything now is on streaming stuff. So like people aren't paying for the movies themselves. Like, you know, maybe if they go to watch the movie at the theaters, they pay for it. But if like they're gonna be watching a movie, usually they're watching it on like Amazon or Netflix or, you know, HBO, like any of these number of things. And I'm like wondering now, like, is that gonna happen to games eventually or something like that? That eventually people are gonna be like, you know, I'm not really feeling like buying this game alone just for like $60 or $70.
So what you're talking about, like, let me see if I got this. You're saying like an absolute streaming service just for video games. I think we talked about that before, right? Kind of like an ultimate system that has every video game imaginable, or, well, that's technically
Well, no,
PC.
because if you look at the way these streaming services operate, it probably would be similar to like you have Sony, you have Microsoft, you have Nintendo. Because like you have Amazon, you have Netflix, and like you can only watch certain shows on certain things, right? So it might be like, oh, if you want to play like the Nintendo games, you have to be subscribed to like Nintendo Plus, right? Like you get all the Nintendo games, but you have to pay like $20 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
And like I'm just thinking because everything else is going that way. Like you can still buy like DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever, but how many people actually do that anymore? Or like if you still are buying DVDs or Blu-rays, you're probably not buying as many as you used to do back in like the 2000s or the 90s or whatever.
Right.
So like I just wonder, like, is that going to happen to games eventually soon too? That people are going to be like, well, you know what, I don't know if I want to buy these games anymore. Or maybe the game companies themselves are going to make that jump first to be like, we're going to try to get it. I mean, in a way they already have that, right? They have like they have the Xbox Game Pass. They have the Sony Plus or whatever for certain games.
Yeah.
Like the only thing is, eventually will they make that move where like you'll only be able to get certain games through the streaming services, so they kind of like force you to get it.
Right.
I mean, if you look at it with Nintendo, like that's the only way you could play certain retro games now,
Yeah.
because you actually have to subscribe to Nintendo Online Plus or whatever.
I still can't believe they shut down the virtual like shops on the 3DS and Wii U now. That was such a sad thing to read about.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, it's like I kind of get it, but I mean, it's like just seems like a silly move on their part to do that. But I mean, it kind of reminds me of like one of the things I was reading about where they said, you know, it was this video I watched where they were talking about how, say you wanted to play some of the classic video games, if you try to look up like the original cartridge or whatever, like Super Mario Bros. Is like infamous for this now. Like there was somebody who was trying to sell it for like $250, I think. And when asked why, they're like, well, it's a classic, blah, 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 blah. They're like, you can play. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, if you get down to it, the real reason why people are going to sell it for $250 because people will pay for it.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know, like, what exactly is the, impulse behind it or whatever. But, like, that's happened, that's been, like, a big thing lately, collecting old things like, video games, you know, memorabilia like that. Like, that took off a lot in, like, the last couple of years. And now all those things are going for very high prices because there's a lot of demand for it.
Exactly.
It's funny because I never really was too big in the whole collecting things. The things I
Right.
ended up kind of collecting were just kind of like incidental. Like, I have a lot of the old Pokemon cards still from like when I was collecting them as a kid. And, you know, I just never got rid of them. But I wasn't trying to like collect them after the fact. Like you see a lot of people do now, like they go scouring like eBay and like old, like those old pawn shops and stuff like that, trying to get deals
Yeah.
on them.
Like,
Have
I
you seen
a
the
friend
videos
that
of YouTube
has-
on like people who do that? Like you see the people go around to different stores and like, oh, this is what I found at this store, like so and so.
Right. Yeah. I've seen people do that. I've seen people still collect Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Magic the Gathering cards. My favorite thing with the Magic the Gathering cards, though, was my favorite thing with that was like those people that had those like giant, you know, sleeves of them or whatever. And you're just like, what is wrong with you? You know?
Yeah, that's crazy, Mike. I don't have giant like I didn't have giant binders and
I'm
sleeves
not
of the
saying like
Pokemon
it's
cards.
like a bad thing. I was just saying like there's like people who would say stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not one of them.
No,
I'm
it's
just
all
saying,
right.
Like, but like it's just so funny to me because, you know, like one of my good friends actually used to collect those like Beanie Baby things that you could, you know. Like I think they had them in like McDonald's Happy Meals and stuff like that. Like those little things that would say, "Hey, my name is this," and the little heart thing that you could get with it or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember when those first came out, I was like, "Oh, that's cool and all," but I only got like a couple of them, and then I was just like, "Yeah, I'm done with this." But there was people who was still buying them all over, like you said, eBay and stuff. Like, "Oh my God, I absolutely have to have this," blah 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 blah. And it's like, but why? Like, why are you spending like $50 on a plush figurine? Like, I just don't get it. But I mean, to each their own. Like, you know, everybody has their little hobby, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you just can't help but be like, you're spending hard-earned money though on something that's really not popular anymore. At least to some.
Well, you know what's funny is I remember like back as a kid, I was like whatever at like the trading card store that we had in the town. And
Right.
you know, behind the counter they had like up on like a little thing to display it, like the the Charizard card. It was like $100, right?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I'm like, oh my god, like I need to get one. And my mom's like, you're not spending $100. I'm not spending $100 for the card for you. Like, no way. I'm like,
Right.
come on, like I really need to have that. Like it's rare, it's special, blah blah blah. But you know, they weren't gonna have anything of that.
Right. I mean, I don't know if I still have it around my room somewhere, but I had one of those. I think they were like the holographic ones.
Uh-huh.
And it was the holographic of what's the like rock turtle Pokemon? I forgot his name.
Rock turtle.
Yeah, it's him.
I don't remember
I
the
have
rock
one of
turtle.
hi-
Whatever.
But I have one of that one somewhere in my room.
No, I did get like a Charizard eventually, but it was not the first edition one.
Yeah.
It was one of the shadowless cards
mean,
though.
I think I like found one somewhere, or my brother did. And I
But-
was just like, holy crap.
But anyway, I was gonna say it's funny because like, oh, it was $100 back then, and they're like, oh no, you're buying that, like it's a waste of money. But I just looked it
Yeah.
up now, and they say like, all right, if you have a card, to this day, like right now, if like it hasn't been like professionally assessed, it's worth like $800.
Oh my god.
If it's considered like grade level 7, I don't really know what the grades mean, but if it's grade level 7, the value goes all the way up to $6,900.
Right.
If it's grade 8, it's worth $10,350.
Right.
Grade 9 is apparently $18,000. 9.5 is $36,000. And actually, 9.5 and 10 are basically the same, 36,000 and 36,000. So it's like, okay, maybe it wouldn't have seemed worth it then, but it definitely would have been worth it now.
Right.
Paying $100 for that card.
But I think it's funny because I remember, I think the show failed, but there was a show back in the day, and it was like the Toy Collector or something like that. And like he was basically going on there to say like, oh, here's how much that toy that you threw out the bus window as a joke would have been worth if you would have like kept it in pristine condition and in the box.
Yeah.
And I just remember watching the commercial and laughing my ass off at it, being like, oh, whatever, like that's total bullshit or whatever, you know. And now, like you said, like if I was to look up some of those things, I'd be like, oh my God, that's literally worth that, you know?
Yeah, that's insane to think about.
Mm-hmm.
I should see. I'm curious. Maybe I could find out what the rock troll Pokemon is, because I can't remember it. Was it like the first generation of Pokemon? Like the early games?
It's either the first or second. I used to be able to just like, back when one of my servers I was part of had like this Pokemon challenge thing, I could just go and say,
There's a couple of... Is it Golem?
oh, I found it. Let's see what it's called. Yeah, it's Golem. Yeah.
Okay.
I had a Golem card at one point that was like holographic in a way, like the little special, and it was actually written in. I found one that was written in Japanese too, which was kind of cool.
I was gonna say, like, I actually had. So I actually had a couple of different, like, of the binders full of the Pokemon cards. And I had one that was like, you know, all the English cards, and I had a second one that was a bunch of the Japanese cards. Because I don't know how, I think it was like my cousin at the time. Like, somehow he started collecting the Japanese cards, and I don't remember where he got them. But then, like, once he started collecting them, I started getting some of them too, like when we would hang out together.
Yeah, the story of that one is I think I found it in a, like, park or something on the ground, like a playground on the ground. And I just picked it up and pocketed it and just told no one that I found it. You know, type of thing.
Try to look up to see if I can find the Golem Pokemon card. I'm curious if it says anything about it. It's interesting.
Watch just one of those that has no value.
You know it, right?
That would be my luck. It's like, my favorite thing is, my brother found a, I forgot what it was. It was like a,
Wait, are you sure it's Golem? Because it says it doesn't have a holographic Golem card. At least it doesn't say it on this sign.
What it looked like was him. Yeah, it's been a long time, like I said. I'd have to find it again. Like, it's probably... Huh, let me check something. I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure. Take your time. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. As you get older, you don't remember things as well. Alright, this is gonna be bad etiquette, but I'm gonna drink because I'm thirsty too. I actually kept some nearby. So I was muting my mic, but I was about to say, yeah. Sounds like my character in game got thirsty too. chug a bunch. I'm drinking too while my character's drinking, so it covers up the sound. Oh man, you know the thing about these items is I keep getting more. Like we just added all this stuff in Shadowcat, organized it, right? But it's like, oh man, already most of these are full of one thing or the other. So I'm just gonna throw stuff in here for now. Right? May as well.
Right. I thought I had it in my junk drawer, but I don't. The only thing I have is $2 bills that I collected at one time.
Ah, well.
There's one that actually has a old what's it called? www, like basically a URL on it.
Really?
And it says track this bill. Yeah.
That's funny.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah, you should
I don't
check
know
it
if
out.
the
Why
site
not?
still. Yeah, I don't know if the site still exists. I'm curious now. Okay, here we go.
You know, sorry, I was going to get a drink too real quickly, and apparently zombies are attacking the fence trying to get in while we were gone.
Of course.
No, they didn't break in though. Alright,
Oh, it
let's...
popped up.
Damn. Still works.
Wow, it actually still exists. Yeah. Wow. I don't know how legit the site is. Well, it has a lock on it. So there's two click things on it. It has a, I found a Where's George bill, and I want to see where it has been. And I want to enter and track my own Where's George bill. Huh. But the thing is, I've had this for literal years, so I mean...
Yeah, so it probably hasn't been updated in a long time.
Right.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like
Actually,
that. A bill that has like a thing on it to track where it's been. That's funny.
see what happens. Oh, please enter the serial number. Okay. Okay. Huh.
Did it
It's
come up with
saying I
anything?
need to put. Well, it's asking me for my zip code. I'm like, okay, that's weird, but sure, whatever. All right, let's see. Oh wow.
What's up?
So, it says exactly where I am and all that. And it says, we found your bill's history in the database. Please add a short note about this bill.
Huh.
Holy God.
Does it show where it's been? They're like, I don't know, ever since it was made?
It just says like, it just says, please add a short note about this bill where you found its condition. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, if you say so. Ugh, excuse me. Sheesh. I'm still checking. I'm just curious. Like, I feel like there has to be like a Golem Pokemon card if you mentioned it. I just can't find it. Like I see one, but it doesn't look like it's holographic. Golem number 36 Fossil. Well, I don't know. It's not holographic, but if this was the card, yeah, according to this, if it was like in perfect condition, the level 10 or whatever, it'd be worth $65 anyway.
Oh wow! It says I've had it. According to this, I've had it for it's been like missing for 15 years, 108 days, and 7 hours and 26 minutes of the last time it's been put in. And
That's
the
really
initial
funny.
entry when it was first put in was from a casino.
Where's that?
It was from 2008 at a casino nearby.
Interesting.
Wow. It's amazing. And yet I'm sure it's not worth anything special at all. It's just a $2 bill.
Yeah, well, all $2 bills are, I guess, worth this. Well, I don't know. Are $2 bills like rare? Because they don't really make them, do they? At least anymore.
Yeah, they're rare, basically. Like many people say you can't find them anymore. Like, I think if you go to a bank, you can sometimes ask and see. But other than that, but that's kind of neat. Yeah.
It says, well, if your $2 bill's from the year 1869, it's worth $3,800 apparently. I doubt it's that old
Really?
though.
I mean, so the last time it was registered was 2008 in January. So, huh. I don't know how old that is.
Oh, this guy. Yeah, it says this guy says, oh, well, generally speaking, a $2 bill is typically worth $2.
Right.
Smart ass.
But yeah, I have 2 of them. I think this one, I don't know where I got it from. I think I got it from as change at one point.
Wow. I've never gotten that
Yeah.
as change.
And then the second one I just kept because I think I got it from a bank or something. And so I just kept them both because I was like, these are rare. I'm just going to keep them as my collection for as long as I can. This is like the first time I've ever gone on this site, though. That's kind of hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, hold on a second. I'll be right back.
All right, no problem. Yeah, who would have thought, people in the chat watching this later on, that you would discover that you had something in your possession that's like over 15 years old. It's like, wow, what a world we live in.
You know, the funny thing is you probably have a lot of things that you've had for a long time. You just don't realize it because you don't think about it all the time.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, I thought it was only like, I didn't even think it was 15 years old, but now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm in my 30s now, so yeah, it makes sense.
So I got this jar here, and I got like a lot of stuff here that, I feel like a lot of it was from my great grandmother, maybe,
Uh-huh.
and maybe like other relatives, but I don't really remember. And like they would
Right.
give me like, you know, kind of like rare stuff, or like uncommon stuff that they would find or had. So here, let me see what
Yeah.
exactly I have. I got a couple of the $2 bills. Let's see. Yeah, this one is a $2 bill with it says it's from 1976.
Oh, nice.
What year did you said yours was again?
Like from the site or from the actual bill?
Oh, like what does the date say on the bill itself?
1976.
Oh, that's funny. We had the same year.
Yeah.
How cool is that? Oh, and the second one's from 1995. So this was more recent. And let's see. I got a couple of coins here. Yeah, some of them are like, I don't know how common they are. like the JFK coins,
Oh yeah.
which are like 50 cents or whatever. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Yeah, several of them. I guess she must have gotten a bunch of them for some reason.
Yeah, I used to have like dollar coins that an old boss of mine used to give us all the time. I don't know if I still have them or if I ended up spending them at some point. But
Oh yeah, right here I have one. It's 1979 Liberty. It has a woman on it.
Oh, nice.
A couple of these. What are these here? These are pennies, but I can't see the date on them. Kind of like old. My
Right.
phone has a light on it. Let's see.
Technology.
So what does it say? Okay, so it's a penny from 1946.
Now, one thing I know about pennies is they literally have no value.
How much is it worth? Ah, it's worth about a penny.
Yeah.
This one's from 1948. And my grandmother, or my great-grandmother, she was born in 1903.
Right.
So she was already an older lady when she had these. 1955. That would, yeah, okay.
But yeah, so that story I was about to talk about before I got distracted and went and found those $2 bills and looked it up on that site. My brother, we were at a park and we were swinging on the swing sets, and all of a sudden he looks down and
shit.
he goes, "Hey."
Hold on. Oh wait, this is really cool. This is specially wrapped. I have a coin from 1863.
Nice.
It has a little Indian on it. That's pretty cool.
Ooh,
Yeah, 1 cent.
yeah. But yeah, he found like I think it was a 1,000 note of some kind. I don't remember what
1,000.
currency it was.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Well,
it had
that-
like 1,000 on it.
That might be a peso, maybe. Is it like a
Yeah.
Spanish or Mexican, kind of currency?
It was. I think it was, but like I don't know what ended up happening with it. I think he ended up like selling it or something because he doesn't have it anymore. Is what he told me.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it was like had 1,000 on it, and I think it probably was a peso or something.
That's pretty cool to see, though.
Yeah, but we were all making jokes about how much it probably was worth at that time, and I think we looked it up later on, and it ended up not even being worth like half that at the time that we found it. And so he said, "I'll just hold on to it in case the value ever goes up."
Well, right now it says, okay, actually it's not that bad. It says 1,000 pesos would be about $55.
It's not bad
Yeah.
at all. Yeah.
Obviously not as crazy as like $1,000, but hey, wouldn't mind finding that.
It's like a 100-pound
Let's
note.
see. I should probably look up this. I wonder if it actually is worth anything. Where did I put it? What year did I say? 18 something?
Yeah.
Come on. I was gonna look it up online to see if it tells you what it is. Come on, damn it. I meant to do it, but then I put it away.
Hmm.
1863. It probably will just be like a penny or something, though.
But yeah, my favorite thing in the world is when I worked at this gold and silver collectors facility thing. And basically it was an online distributor for collector's coins. And I'll never forget what my boss said one day. He's like, "Hey, you should buy some of these silver coins because I think I mentioned this before, like probably multiple times, but it just still cracks me up to this day. He was like, "You should buy some of these coins because, if the economy crashes, they'll still have more value than, say $1." And I was like, "No, they wouldn't. If the economy crashes, people are going to take one look at it and say, 'So you have a thing of silver. Whoop-de flippin' do. Like, I want food.'"
Or someone's gonna say, "Oh, that's cute that you have all that silver. Guess what I have? I have bullets. Give me your silver."
Right. Exactly.
It's funny though. I did look up there's a couple of different sites giving different answers, but it looks like just like a regular coin is like worth about $10 of these
Oh.
things,
Yeah,
which is it's more than I thought it would be for this old thing.
right. I
What's
just
this other stuff
remember
they gave me?
looking it up back in the day about the $2 bills, and people were like, "I have a $2 bill. How much is it worth?" And they're like, $2, like you said. And they're like, "No, no, no. See, like it's really old and rare." And they're like, "It's still only worth $2."
What does this say? Oh, I'm trying to read this now. Estados Unidos Mexicanos.
I'm still just so impressed that somebody actually put that on the site instead of just being like, whatever.
Oh yeah, there's
Because they could have just, they could have just kept it and just like done what I did and just never spend it.
yeah. Well, I have pesos too.
Oh, cool. I have Canadian coins somewhere.
I don't know why I have these. What does this one say? Is this one? Yeah, this is another one. It's supposed to be a smaller one though. Huh. And what is this? Is this a Canadian quarter or something else? Or dime? Or what the hell is this?
Forgot I did.
Oh wow, this one. I don't know. I think I maybe got this at like a gas station or something randomly. I don't know what it is, but I think it's something Middle Eastern. Because there's this weird writing on it I can't read.
Nice.
I'll have to like take a picture of it and see if anyone can identify it. Maybe someone will know.
Excuse me.
Oh yeah, and I have a couple of the Canada dollars.
Oh yeah.
I have a Royal Bank of Scotland £5 note.
Nice.
You know what's funny? I heard that so the United Kingdom is it's Britain, Wales, there's Scotland, and Northern Ireland, right?
Right.
So I think there's actually, there's the Bank of England essentially, and there's also, Scotland has their own bank. So they both issue like their different like they could be used at either place, but they issue their own notes for some reason. I don't really understand it. But I heard that like there was like a long tradition where like if you use like a Scottish note in England, they kind of looked down upon you. Like, oh, you're using that here?
Yeah. That just reminds me of the joke in Parks and Recreation when like he tries to give U.S. currency to French store, and they're like, "Oh, we do not accept U.S. currency here." And he goes, "Of course you do. This is like the most patriotic bill in the world. You will accept it now." And he goes, "I'm sorry, sir." And he goes, "Very well," and like makes this like horrendous joke towards them about it. And I'm just like, oh my god, that's too funny.
All right, it's
I
almost
hope we
daytime
just got
again.
distracted. I love how we just got distracted by like money and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I was like, oh, I was just kind of like chilling here during the night in the game. I didn't have much else to do, and then you like mentioned that one thing and looked it up, and that was pretty cool. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that I had that whole jar of coins and stuff. I'm like, I should probably take a look at it just to see.
Yeah.
It was fun looking through, getting to see that stuff again. I forgot that I had the old 1800s coin. That's pretty neat. I wish I had more of them.
Yeah. Need to go through all my stuff again and see if I can't find those Pokemon cards and stuff.
Yeah, I'm curious which one it was now, because you might be like thinking of like a different one.
Yeah.
Because there's like Golem, but that looks like a different card because it doesn't. As far as I can tell, it doesn't look holographic on this screenshot of it.
Yeah. Like I said, it's like it's something that I've had for a long time, but like I've just moved around my room multiple times. And like I don't think I've gotten rid of any of them.
Oh, what the hell?
But,
There's a bunch of clay soil in the output again.
oh
Are
yeah, I
you
put it there to move some of the metal in there.
Oh, so
instead.
that's why it's okay. That's probably what we did the first time too. Then
Yeah, this time at least. That's what I did.
that's funny.
Yeah. For the stone, yeah.
I thought like maybe it was Shadowcat the first time I had like put the thing to make clay for some reason.
Yeah, it probably was. That,
Well,
like,
no, it
me
was
the first
probably
time.
you. Like,
Well, you
just-
know what I mean. Like, yeah. That's what I was about to say. I was like, yeah, it was probably me the first time. I just don't remember.
Yeah.
Cool, now we have an arrow box.
Oh yeah, Shadowcat named a bunch of the chests down there. I wasn't really organizing them,
Right.
so Shadowcat ended up. Some of them might eventually get switched up a bit because. Like, I'm thinking the throwable weapons, there's really not a whole lot that goes in there.
Grenades.
I'm just gonna leave it for now.
Molotovs. Yeah.
Is that my character's stomach? What does that sound? No, my character's stomach is full. Is that a zombie? Or is that your character's stomach?
No,
Are
my
you nearby?
character's fine. And I have food on me anyway, so.
Well, it doesn't sound like there's a zombie nearby. Something get in the basement? That was weird. I don't know. Maybe the game's just being funny.
Makes sense.
No, I'm hearing it again. What the hell's going on? It's so creepy.
I'm at the area across the road, so it's not me.
Yeah. I like half expected to find a zombie inside the house. Well, I don't know. Game's being weird.
Right.
And now I'm not hearing anyway. Whatever. Oh, thanks for the shared experience.
You're welcome. Oh, you're over here. Okay. Huh, searching stuff still gives you experience. Good to know. Good one.
No birds allowed.
Exactly. Another book, yay.
Yeah, I'm just kind of fooling around at this point in the game. I don't really have much to
Yeah.
do. I don't want to start anything at this point in the day because it's a little bit late.
Yeah. It was getting late too. I was just like, I'm just gonna run around and use up this
Whoa, what
learning
the hell?
elixir a little bit.
A building is collapsing for no reason.
Whoa, where?
Right out front. The one across the street from you. What the
Cool.
hell? I heard a zombie attacking, and then all of a sudden I heard a bunch of shit
Master, we are not
collapsing.
alone.
Yeah, like it's half collapsed on the side. What the hell?
Nice.
I wonder if they changed something
My
with the
sensors have
update with
picked
the
up something.
physics. And now it broke buildings.
Oh yeah, this was already. I remember this building like looking a little damaged before.
Uh-oh. Something's down here. The hell is it? I hear a bunch of shit, but I don't know where they are.
Whoa, more stuff's falling.
Oh shit. I guess get out. Don't want that falling on you.
Dang.
Master, we are not alone.
Yeah, what is going on? This game's all messed up right now.
This
That's
is
kind of
actually kinda
interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Doggo. This is awesome, actually.
There's a little action to spice up things at the end here when we're getting a bit tired.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear another screamer. Here we go. Yeah, maybe we'll let her... Oh, there we go. I was going to let her summon things to have a little bit extra fun.
There it
but...
is.
Oh, yeah, there they go. She got him anyway.
I love how in this game, like, an MP5 can be like a sniper rifle. On the other, like, shooter games, like, that is not a thing. It's like, yeah, no, you're not shooting someone across the map with an SMG.
Master, we are not alone.
Oh, there's another screamer.
Yeah, it must have been the building collapsing drawing their attention.
Man,
Oh,
creepy
here
looking.
they come. Yeah, they definitely made them look cooler with the new one. Oh, they're coming down from this way, too.
We have picked up something.
Nice.
Indeed.
I hear something else making noise back here. I think there's some zombies under the rubble.
Boy.
Yeah, I like that shotgun can just blast through the rubble. It's pretty
Right.
awesome.
Oh, I was hoping I could destroy some of the structure. This is awesome.
That actually would be something neat if they had in the game that, like, maybe sometimes randomly a building is, like, made that it could collapse while you're in it.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's just considered structurally, insecure.
Random hunting knife and a grass grill. It's like a level 1, but that's cool. Ooh, actual grilled meat.
Oh, there we go. I have to wonder if this is going to happen again with other buildings somehow.
I think it's like non-quest buildings that you haven't done a quest in for a long time that probably got damaged a bunch from the zombies in there.
Yeah, maybe.
I gotta admit, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was funny because, like, we were both kind of like, oh yeah, we're getting ready to, like, end this. Like, oh, we have nothing much else to do. And then all of a sudden, like, the building starts falling, all hell breaks loose.
Right.
I'm actually looking up to see if they did change something to do with the physics in this game. What's this 20.7?
Yeah. B1.
Oh, well, I guess this is not the right site. This site hasn't been updated since 2022.
Wow.
Oh, no, it is. Okay. Yeah, I guess they don't really update their site as much. Because I went to look for, like, 7 Days to Die, and went to the news, and it hasn't been updated since, late last year.
Oh,
I thought they
wow,
would have
that's
some
fun.
information about this, but I guess not. Oh, well. Maybe I'll find out later.
about this.
So I guess this building didn't collapse at least.
Yeah. At least not yet.
Huh. I guess that's neat.
Well placed dynamite could help with that.
Yeah. Does they have enough weapons anyway?
Right.
Can go all explosive happy.
Right. It's over here.
Yeah, I should probably check to see if the big office building is gonna collapse if I go near it. Hopefully not. The one that I was working on.
Right.
Yeah, you know, I don't think they would change something with the physics at this point, because that would be kind of weird.
Right.
If anything, if they were gonna make a change, I would assume they would do it in the like the full version update to Alpha 21.
Right.
Well, nothing else seems to be breaking around me so far. That'd be funny if, like, somehow your character has a curse on him. No matter where he goes, things just break around him. Just the
Right.
ultimate unlucky.
Oh, that'd be too funny. So yeah, you know what happened to me today? I caused a catastrophe.
So far, it doesn't seem to be affected. Hey, it's Luigi's.
Nice. I think they used to have a Luigi's Italian ice thing here. I don't know whatever happened to it. Like, I know they have like still stuff like that in grocery stores and stuff, but I was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
I want to say there's, at like one point, it would have been years ago, but yeah, there was like a Luigi's Italian like pizzeria, and they had Italian ices there.
Right.
I think it probably closed down or changed owners at some point though, because I know it's not there anymore.
Okay.
There's like this one place, and like they always open up a pizza place, and that it's like a small little shopping mall, and
Right.
like it's been through, I want to say like 5 different names in like you know, last 10, 20 years or whatever.
Uh-huh.
It's like, oh, like no matter like who goes there, like they're,
My
I guess they're not
senses have
lucky,
picked up something.
and like they just have to end up selling it to someone. But then, you know,
Stick
like,
of
someone
dynamite
buys it and tries it
still
again.
looks like a hot dog.
Everything seems to be under control over here, at least.
Hmm.
Is that a bird?
They definitely nerfed the power of dynamite a little bit.
Oh no, did they? Well, what were you trying it on out of curiosity?
The building next door to see if it would collapse.
Oh, well, speaking of parking garages, here's a parking garage.
Incoming enemy. Prepare for conflict.
Yes, I've been using the pistol a bit more because I upgraded the skill for it, so it's a little bit more effective.
Right.
I don't know why. Oh, get out of here. I was remembering how I was playing Cyberpunk, and they actually updated the graphics in that game, so it actually has an even, like, more enhanced ray tracing mode, they call it.
Right.
And the funny thing is, like, if you do try to use it, like, it really drops down your frame rate a ton, but it does look pretty.
Nice.
But it's pretty much like, yeah, like, if you're not using the ray tracing with the DLSS, which is like a special feature on NVIDIA cards to boost the frame rate, it's like, you're only going to get, like, between 30 and 40 frames in the game at this point.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, luckily it's a feature you could turn off and on, like, you don't have to use the enhanced graphics mode.
Right.
But I was trying out. I have to get back to streaming that game because I was playing it before, but I haven't in a while.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Master, we are not alone.
It's just so funny when you get bored in the game. You're just like, how much mass, like, chaos can I just cause in the next, like, 10 minutes? Just because I can.
Yeah. I mean, there's some buildings you could run into, and then you'll definitely find yourself with a challenge if you
Right.
felt like doing so. Oh, at least I leveled up.
Right.
There we go. Now I feel like I accomplished something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, upgrading the pistol definitely makes it feel like it's actually worth using at this point now.
Right.
It's like it actually has a little bit more stopping power now. Well, speaking, here's a kitchen with an island in it. The funny thing is they have the stove as part of the island.
Yeah, typically, if it's a kitchen island, it has a sink, and that's it.
Huh. Ooh, there we go.
Damage.
That was some fun. What were you using there, Mike?
I was throwing more dynamite at stuff for fun.
Did you get a more powerful version of it somehow?
Oh no. I still think the funniest thing ever was when we discovered just how weak the little remote bombs are, because they're only supposed to be used on like objects. They're not supposed to be used on walls and stuff.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well that sucks.
Like, oh yeah, let me try this out. And did absolutely nothing.
Right? Like, well, that was disappointing.
Huh? Are you practicing on something?
Yes.
I still say it's funny when you were streaming by yourself, but you were doing the I don't know if you're doing any particular challenge, but you were like working on your house and then everything collapsed from underneath you.
Right.
Incoming enemies. Prepare for conflict.
Well, well.
Master, we are not alone.
Uh-oh.
Ah, there he is.
Well, the shotgun is so much fun to use.
Oh, yeah.
Actually breaking shit apart.
Right.
Incoming enemies. Prepare for conflict.
Whoa. Jeez. Instead of going after you, the bird went after me. I'm like, are you kidding
Yeah, I
me?
thought I saw a bird, but then I didn't know where it went. I guess he's going after you.
Yeah. I tried to
Oh.
lockpick the ATM outside for fun. H points does this thing have? Oh, 5,000. That's not much at all. I remember those good, like, old, like, crime videos where people would, like, grab hold of the ATM with their truck and, like, drag it out the front door. And you're just like, well, that's one way, I guess. Not bad.
How much did it have in it?
$393.
Ooh, cool.
You can retire on that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
My senses have picked up something.
I love the picture in my head of somebody actually like wailing on a safe with a pickaxe. I don't know why, that just cracks me up.
Yeah, it's definitely the way you crack a safe.
Yeah. So, my favorite video on YouTube is this guy, Demolition Ranch. he's like, can you shoot open a safe? And it's actually still on his range. And he just like blasted the lock off of it, but it has a safety feature on it when you do that it engages in like extra bypass lock or something, I guess, which is supposed to make it stay secure just in case. And he says, yeah, it doesn't open now, but it just sits on my property completely empty. And every now and then I just like pop a shot off at it just for fun. I was like, hey, to each their own.
Oh, that was a sweet decapitation. I shot the zombie in the neck and the head just like rolled off like so softly.
Oh yeah. Apparently, they want to add that to each zombie, but apparently it's a big hit on the FPS.
Oh, that looks cool though.
Oh yeah, it looks amazing, but they say if you get enough of those zombies in a row, apparently it actually starts hitching the game. Kind of reminds me
I've
of,
got a bad feeling about this.
was it Skyrim that first allowed you to decapitate people, or was it Oblivion?
I don't know which one was first. Maybe Skyrim.
Yeah. But I know that if you decapitate him and tried to move the like the head, as if it was like a different entity from the body, it would actually still have the same weight as the body somehow. And it's like, wait, that doesn't make any sense.
Just easier that way, Mike. Come on.
In their eyes, at least. Oh, blueberry pie. Take that.
Do you need this pistol Pete in there?
Guess I do.
Oh, good. I was gonna take it and just sell it, but now you can use it.
Yep. Oh, that's one way to open a door.
Oh, okay. I thought I missed something.
Nah. I just had my shotgun in my hand and I was like, I'm bored. I'm gonna just blast this door open.
Oh yeah, now try. That's all good. We were just kind of fooling around at this point anyway. I didn't even know if you were still lurking at this point. But yeah, have a good night. We should probably get going
Hope you
soon.
enjoyed. Yeah, we're just kind of memeing around, just going through and seeing how much carnage we can do.
Yeah,
It's basically 12 o'clock, so I was gonna head back to the base.
yeah, I'm
Something
going
over
to.
here? Ah, thought I heard something, but it's just a fire in the barrel. But yeah, see what I did to this at the front? Like somehow it's still standing even though it has all this widespread damage to it.
Yeah, you have to like destroy a bunch of it.
Yep.
Yeah, even that didn't do anything. Wow.
I still love that.
I love how
And,
high your character can leap. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. That was another thing from the Mario movie that cracked me up. It's how they were saying, with the power mushroom, you can jump. And it's like, Mario was able to jump before the power mushroom. What do you mean he can jump now? Cracked me up. Anyway, if people are still lurking or having just like watching this later on, I hope you guys had a great day and a great night as well. Next time will probably be the Horde night, so look forward to that. And
yeah, I guess.
Let's see. We didn't really do much around the base, so We'll probably have to do a lot of upgrading, which will be fun, but we'll have the stuff for it at least, so that's not a problem. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, guys, take care of yourselves. Thanks as always. We'll try to get back to this next week. Try not to take any more breaks, but we'll see what
System
happens.
damage severe. Shutting down.
Oh, there's Mike's thing leaving. It says system damage severe. Freaks me out for a second. Like, what the hell's going wrong?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I might as well quit the game too. That way the time doesn't go by.
Right.
All right, everyone. I'll try to do the stream of Orphan maybe to finish that game off, and maybe I'll try to get back to more stuff before we have to do 7 Days to Die again. But I'll probably mention on Discord before I go ahead and do anything like that. So if you haven't, follow me there, and you'll get a little bit of a head start before things go. Speaking of Discord, I actually forgot to mention that we were streaming on Discord, but I guess people found their way over regardless. Funny enough.
Eventually.
Yeah. Well, anyways, thanks again. Good night, all.